This over the weekend. This is the old warehouse on North 7th Street. Back on Saturday, West Memphis Fire Chief says it could take until the end of the week before the fire is completely out.
At this point is this sort of smoldering smoke. So there's a little bit of discomfort for residents just from the smell of the smoke alone, but it doesn't pose any health hazard to them at this point.
Still no word on exactly what caused the fire. Later today, we are expected to hear from Attorney Ben Crump on behalf of Tennessee State University about the $2 billion they're owed from the state. He represents the school. And we learned that a letter sent to Governor Bill Lee from 2 federal agencies showing a financial gap over the last 30 years. The president, Dr. Glenda Glover, who's set to retire from the school, says the lack of funding has created problems for Tennessee State. A statement from Governor Lee's office says his office has worked with the General Assembly to deliver a total of over $532 million in state funding to support TCU. And student loan payments are due once again.
I don't have to consider if I'm...
Student loan payments are due once again. Thousands still trying to figure out how they're going to pay. President Biden tried to get debt canceled, but he did not go with Congress, and Congress and the purchasing power of the legislative branch. Therefore, the Supreme Court struck down his plan.
I'm lucky in the sense that I can live with my parents and I don't have to consider if I'm going to pay for groceries this month or pay for the student loans.
Being so young and in so much debt for doing something that I thought was going to better my life, it has absolutely been the biggest regret of my life.
All right, so experts say check with your loan officer to see how much you owe and when it's due. You can try an income-driven repayment plan as well. All right, we're 2 days away from the Memphis municipal election. We're starting to see more people engaged this year than in previous years. The Election Commission says a little more than half of registered voters participate. So far, more than 57,000 people chose to vote early, beating early voting turnout both in 2015 and in 2019 municipal elections. It's still too early to tell who those votes went to in the ballot for Memphis mayor and the Memphis City Council. And when we talk about what's exactly on the ballot, here it is. You're going to be voting for Memphis mayor, the City Council, and some may vote for multiple districts here. Join us on Action News 5 Thursday night as results roll in. We're going to take a short break, and when we do, we will be back with more on the Action News 5 digital desk right after this. Okay.
I'll figure out how to proceed.
All right. No worries.
We'll have, 10 minutes. So
Wow.
can't wait 10 minutes.
What
We'll
happened?
be in cut-ins at that point, probably.
Yeah, what happened?
As long as you get Jennifer.
Yeah, well, good.
Amanda Hansen here in the Action News 5 digital desk. So I don't know about you, but I'm one of those people that I love to go kick back on a patio, maybe enjoy a cocktail, an appetizer. And so if that's you, you're going to like this next interview. We're bringing in food reporter with the Commercial Appeal, Jennifer Chandler, talking about 5 new patios you want to check out this fall. First off, Jennifer, how you doing?
I'm doing great. This is my favorite time of year when there's a little bit, I know it's a little warm today, but it's like you can feel the chill in the air starting and you just want to get back outside.
Oh, I know. I'm just like you, but I'm ready for it to start feeling like fall outside. Like you said, it's still been a little warm out there. But I had gone through your list. You were talking about these different patios and you piqued my interest. So let's go ahead and share it with everybody.
Yeah, so when I do a patio list every year because I love dining outdoors. I think it's so much fun, especially when the weather is nice in the spring and in the fall. So for this year's list, I decided to focus on 5 new patios. So when I say new, they're either new establishments or they were existing patios that got a total redo this year. So they're new to the establishment. So going down on my list, the first one is downtown at the Lobbyist. So the Lobbyist is Jimmy Gentry's restaurant that he opened earlier this year in the Chiska historic building. They're kind of on the corner of Front and, gosh, I should know what that is. Maybe G.E. Patterson? I may have that wrong. But it's in the historic Chiska building. And he has a lovely patio that runs alongside his building. And he has just created this charming space that has a bar. You can get the full menu there. On the weekends, it has bar service. And you can just kind of watch, people walk down the street. It's just really a charming, nice place to be. And it's a fun place to do an upscale dinner a little more casually outside as well. So the Lobbyist at the Chiska. And I have to tell you, if you go, this is going to sound like the weirdest suggestion. Just get the carrots. Just trust me. The carrots are one of my favorite things on his menu, and he elevates carrots to something else. Just try it.
I was gonna say,
Have you had them before?
No, I was going to ask what makes them so special. Have you?
It is like one is their carrots that are farm raised. Jimmy Gentry is really known for taking the farm to table concept very seriously, and he has a number of farmers that grow things specifically for his restaurant. The same as he did at P.O. Press in Collierville when he had that a number of years ago. And these carrots, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how he cooks them. I'm guessing maybe sous vide. I could be completely wrong, but they're kind of al dente, but they're in some kind of an Asian inspired influence that I think there's a little kind of like a kimchi vinaigrette. I don't know. Carrots are just, a snack when I'm pretending to be healthy, that I get my bag of carrots and eat it with hummus or something like this. But these are carrots that I actually want to eat.
Ooh. Well, you piqued my interest. I'm sure I'm not alone as far as that goes. So carrots, if I go to the Lobbyist.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, next on my list, we're gonna jump around town today. So the next on my list is Bog and Barley. So Bog and Barley is in East Memphis. It's in the Regalia Shopping Center, right there on the corner of Poplar and Ridgeway, and it is new this year as well. And it is from DJ Naylor, who owns Celtic Crossing in Cooper Young neighborhood. And if you've ever been to Celtic Crossing, you know that DJ has put a lot of love into his patio and is very proud of it. In fact, a few years ago, he did a total remodel of it, and he put in the ground, he put Celtic symbols, and so he's all about patio. So when he was designing his new restaurant, there wasn't a traditional patio space that kind of lent itself for outdoor dining. So when they were designing it, his wife said to him, "We're going to create a patio." And so what they've done is basically when you walk in the front door of Bog and Barley, you walk into almost like a front porch area, a covered front porch. And he says it's his transition from Memphis to Ireland when you walk into the actual restaurant. But it is it feels like you're on somebody's lovely covered back porch when you're sitting in this space in Bog and Barley. And one of the things that's cool, when the weather is nice, it has those kind of garage door windows. And so those can lift up and let fresh air in when the weather is nice. So Bog and Barley's outdoor backyard patio is one of the ones that I would recommend as well. And especially what's great about that, you can feel like you're outdoors, but it's climate controlled year round.
For sure. And like you said, it definitely has a vibe. Like it is like you're transferring into Ireland. So like you said, so it is definitely a place you should put on your list if you have not been there.
So now we're going to pop back downtown. Down the street from the Lobbyist is Slider Inn, their downtown location, which is really fun. And it has lots of outdoor spaces within Slider Inn itself. But they created their own backyard. They call it Slider Out. And so basically, this whole yard that they had adjacent to their building that runs along Front Street, they have created into a really kind of fun outdoor patio venue. The full menu is not available, but like a lot of the favorites of the Sliders are there. The Jameson slushies are there. They've created like some covered spaces, some patio spaces. There's a drink rail that lines all along the fence that lines Front Street, so you can kind of hang out there. They've also put in, and I wish we had a picture of it, a big LED TV screen over a stage, so you can go and watch your, for Grizzly Watch games. It would be a fun place to go, or University of Memphis Tigers games, whether football or basketball. You could go watch those. And then they also have live music there. So it's really kind of a fun extension of what Slider Inn's concept is, but outdoors in Slider Out. And that restaurant has a sister restaurant that is the next one on my list, which is Mama's Bar. And Mama's opened this summer, and it is over on Kentucky Street. And depending on which direction you're driving on the highway, it's either the first bar you hit in Memphis when you come over the bridge, or it's the last bar in Memphis before you go over to Arkansas. And this bar it was a dive bar. It's that they took over and they remodeled, and the interior still has a dive bar theme, and they've kind of created a trucker theme around all of this because there's so many truckers that go through that area. But what they did that was really cool is they took what was an existing small outdoor deck and they doubled it in size. In fact, they nickname it, they call it the double wide. It's the trucker theme. And there's a stage out there. They have live music on the weekends. They've really thoughtful about everything. They put you can see in the picture, they put those sails up to kind of block the sun. There's some fans. They plan in the winter to put some heaters out there, and it's just kind of got a fun, casual vibe. It's family friendly. It's really for the neighborhood to go there. Must order item if you go to Mama's, if you have not been, is their fried chicken sandwich. I think it's called the Firebird. I need to double check that, but it is so good. It's a crispy fried chicken breast that's been tossed in like some buffalo wing sauce, and it's just, I don't know, it is a excellent fried chicken sandwich that you need to check out for sure. And then last on my list, we're going to hop back to East Memphis, and we're going to go to Babalu. So the Babalu's East Memphis location, over the past several months, they have totally expanded and redone their outdoor dining situation. So if you remember, they used to have just a small little kind of like semicircle patio out there that had a few seats. What they've done is they've extended the patio out and alongside the building. They've covered it now, so they were able to put fans in the ceiling, and they were able to have heaters, and it just really has become a nice, fun extension of that restaurant. And as you can see, it kind of, in this back corner, you can kind of see that the bar, there's even bar seating. So the bar wraps all the way around like the one in Overton Square. So you can get your tableside guacamole and Southern inspired tacos there anytime you want when you're sitting outdoors. It's really kind of elevated that space and increased their seating, and they did a really nice job with it. And it's funny because when you look at this picture, it looks a little gray. I think it was when we took the picture, it was a gray day, but it's really a fun and vibrant spot to go meet friends in East Memphis. And along this conversation, I'm just going to throw out too some of my favorite patios that are not new, but I think that are really well done in Memphis that if you want to go out to eat. Number one is Acre. I don't know if you've ever been there, Amanda, but it is, they have this cute little patio that's tucked behind their restaurant that has a lot of greenery around it, and you feel like you're in a garden when you're eating back there. It's really secluded and nice and lovely. Next is River Oaks. During the pandemic, they put, like a lot of places, they put in a patio for the first time, and they did theirs on the front of their building. And again, they were really thoughtful about how they did it. So they created a patio space that is covered. It has fans, it has heaters. And what's nice is the sides go up and there's a lot of greenery. So you kind of feel again like you're on somebody's patio rather than being in a parking lot, which when they first told me they were doing it in that location, I was like, aren't you going to feel like you're in a parking lot? But what they did created this little oasis in the front of their building that's a really charming place to eat outside. And then the last is Coastal Fish Company that I'll mention because they probably have the best patio view in the city of Memphis, and that expansive outdoor patio they have. If you get a table at sunset and you're looking over Hyde Park, I think it's called Hyde Lake in Shelby Farms Park, it is just breathtakingly beautiful. And they, again, thoughtful about how they did it. It has fans, they have heaters, they put up a glass wall to keep some of the wind out. So on one side, so it's really, really kind of charming. So do you have a favorite that you like to go to, Amanda?
Well, Coastal Fish Company, I mean, hands down, is great. I've never been to Acre that you were bringing up, but I feel like I need to go check that place out. Bog and Barley, love the place. I just keep thinking to myself, which one of these places are we going to go to, Jennifer, and do a happy hour?
I know. We need to make a date for that because we keep talking about food and all these fun places together. So
I know.
we need to make it happen. We need to make it happen for sure. And we can't go wrong for any of these. So maybe we're going to do it in October because I think this is the best time of year to eat outside to me because you know, in the summer, well, I guess maybe in May, it's early May, it's wonderful too. But something about now when the heat it's still warm, but it's not too hot in the evenings. It's just really nice to eat outside and take advantage of this lovely weather we have in Memphis during the fall and the spring.
Oh, for sure. I'm with you on that one. So, well, commercialappeal.com/food. Go check out all of Jennifer's stories. She is the person. I mean, I know that I've texted you before saying, okay, where's going to be a good spot for this?
Yeah.
So she is your person. Jennifer, always a pleasure to be able to chat with you. And you have a good rest of your morning. All right. See you next time.
You too. See you soon.
Now I want to talk a little bit. These are pictures from the St. Francis Hospital location in Bartlett. There is something new there. It's called the clothing closet. And these are for various options for patients, perhaps homeless patients who don't have clothes to be discharged in. Those are perhaps had accidents or may have had clothing that they can't wear anymore. And so this allows them to have some clothing to wear as they are discharged. Let's talk a little bit more about this idea of having this closet for patients there. I'm joined now by Chris Jenkins. He's Chief Operating Officer at St. Francis Bartlett. He's joining us to talk a little bit more about this closet. Tell me about the idea, Chris. Good morning to you. Tell me about the idea behind this and tell me how the closet's looking these days. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Andrew. So the clothing closet really came about in that we're talking to some of our staff, specifically in the emergency department, who had basically a little box and it had clothes in it for patients who came in either, with trauma, we had to cut their clothes off, or maybe they were coming in off the street and they didn't have anything that we could send them home in that was appropriate. So we took that and the paramedic, Michael Dickerson, and I worked to create a clothing pantry up on one of our floors. And you'll actually see my daughter sorting the clothes there. She helped me throughout the summer and continues to help even through the school year. But we wanted to give people an opportunity to be discharged with dignity, and sometimes a clean shirt, clean pair of pants, shoes makes all the difference when they're going home, especially to those that may not have a place of their own. We don't want anyone to leave this hospital with anything other than a great experience, and also just we want to take care of them as a whole, not just treat the injury or whatever they're coming in with, but also treat them as a person, and that's really important to us.
It sounds like an amazing idea, and I would think most hospitals should have this kind of closet out there because, you think about it, not only, I mean, okay, you do have an element that's homeless, but then there's someone that gets in a car crash, and as you mentioned, their clothing has to get cut off, or there's a bunch of blood, or who knows what, and they need a new set of clothing. And here's this opportunity with this closet, with a great setup. And looking at this video here, your daughter's sifting through some of the clothing. It looks fantastic. I mean, is this just with St. Francis Bartlett? Is it an idea that's catching on? What do you know?
Right. So right now, I know it's at St. Francis Hospital Bartlett, and then our other location at Park, we're trying to help them get set up as well. So look forward to that. And really, we would hope that every hospital, not just the ones that are in Bartlett in Shelby County, but really across the state and across the nation, are this will be something that they explore putting in, because it's a great service. Think about how many employees a hospital typically has, and kids outgrow clothing, we outgrow clothing, so we want to give them an option to obviously donating to the Goodwill and Salvation Army is important, but also these donations are going directly into your community that you serve. So we've probably done 20 donations to patients as they're being discharged, and I would say the last 3 months alone. So we're constantly replenishing it, constantly doing touch-ups to the rooms, adding in new shelves, clothing racks, whatever we can, because we want to take care of the donations, but also we want to make sure that it's readily accessible to anyone that needs us.
Where can people donate? Because I know that we have thousands of people watching us here on the digital desk each and every morning.
Right.
I know people are going to want to figure out a way to get clothes to you guys.
Absolutely. So we have a fantastic auxiliary and volunteer services here. They handle all the donations. I believe we're gonna have that link or information for them so that they can get it to them. But the hospital takes them, and we make sure that they're clean and good shape, and then we start the process of getting them arranged and sorting them by sizes, and then when they need it, either our nursing leaders or people in the emergency department, or even a physician will say, this patient's going to need some little bit of extra before they can be discharged, and that's where we step in and take care of them.
So do people just come to the hospital and drop off the clothes? How does the donation process work?
Yeah, so absolutely. We'll have Carolyn Borden's information up, and they can reach out to her and arrange a time, so that we can make sure we take it in and get it taken care of, cleaned, all that good stuff.
Okay, and if someone wants to donate, they're watching this right now. Do they call St. Francis? Do they go online? How does it all work?
They can send an email. We'll have that email address up, or they can give us a call. We'll also have that phone number, and we will work with them so that we can make sure that someone's there to receive those goods.
Okay. Anything else you want to mention, Chris, before we let you go? I mean, this is so nice of everybody, and it just shows the generosity of the Mid-South to help others and to give in time of need.
Absolutely. I couldn't be prouder of the staff and even my daughter for obviously giving up some of her summer to help. But hope the other hospital systems that are watching this, that this catches on, and we're here to partner and help as well, because this really is just a fantastic service that really goes to show what a hospital is part of a community and what we can do to help.
Chris Jenkins, Chief Operating Officer for St. Francis Bartlett. We really appreciate you joining us on the digital desk, telling us about the closet. Appreciate all your hard work, and thanks so very much.
Thank you, Andrew.
Well, good morning, everyone. Andrew Douglas here in the Action News 5 digital desk. Early voting continues today. It began on Friday for the Memphis municipal election. This is Memphis City Council seats and the Memphis mayoral election. Of course, we had a Memphis mayoral forum about a week ago, and people have been voting for that, 17 candidates there. Well, we found it very interesting that Chalkbeat Tennessee did their own interview with some of the candidates about where they stand when it comes to education issues. Chalkbeat, of course, covers primarily education issues all across the country. And of course, Chalkbeat Tennessee is all about Tennessee. Let's bring in Laura Testino with Chalkbeat Tennessee. She did the article that's posted right now on Chalkbeat with regards to where Memphis mayoral candidates stand on education issues. Laura, I appreciate you joining us. First, tell me, how did the interviews go? I mean, there's 17 candidates in this election. Good morning.
Sure. Hey, good morning. So we sent 8 questions to each mayoral candidate who will be on the ballot. So you're right, all 17 of them. And we have responses from 14. So you'll be able to read platforms and responses from 14 of the candidates that you'll see on your ballot, including the top 8 who are kind of the front runners in this election this year. We asked them everything from, just giving them giving a quick synopsis of where their platforms are for education and youth. We also asked them specific questions about funding relationship between Memphis Shelby County Schools and the city of Memphis, which right now does not exist in an official capacity. We also asked them about how they might continue funding streams that do exist for universal preschool. And we asked them my personal favorite question, which was to describe a quality school. And then we asked them how many quality schools exist in Memphis.
Fantastic questions, Laura. I love your guys' angle here because so often throughout this election cycle, I think it's safe to say that crime has really dominated the forums and debates that have been out there when it comes to these Memphis mayoral candidates. And here you guys come along with a very important issue, education, and what to do with not only preschool and younger students and children out there, but also middle school and high school and best schools, best practices. So very important and very underrated. Were there any surprising comments? I know we don't want to give too much away here. Any surprising comments when you were asking those candidates the questions?
I think the question that everybody seems to always be interested most this year and in years prior is that funding relationship question. So without giving too much away, there are some candidates who are interested in reestablishing a funding relationship with the school district, but to varying degrees. There's only one candidate that you'll read who specifically advocates for a return of funding in the traditional sense, in the way that like the county commission provides funding to the school district, and school district can kind of just decide on their own how to spend those funds. Whereas others were more specific about, only wanting to provide for infrastructure updates, or considering wraparound supports for students, or doing some more of those kind of supplemental education programs that you may find associated with libraries, community programming, after school programming, youth employment opportunities, and things to that effect.
I've had a lot of discussions with Memphians about the future of Memphis, and a lot of those discussions oftentimes come to some of the most influential people in this city. And time and again, people say the superintendent can, in a way, have the most influence, especially if they're good, especially if they're solid, if they're a visionary, if they're a leader. That can have a profound impact. Did you hear any of the mayoral candidates talk specifically about perhaps the relationship with the superintendent and the impact that they could have in the city of Memphis?
Sure. I think certainly from these sets of responses, we did ask that specific question to candidates and ask them to describe how they, should they assume office, how they would work with the school district, particularly because there's not that set out funding relationship, right? So it's a bit more going to be up to either side to get those conversations going and have a regular rapport. Some candidates were more specific in how they wanted to accomplish that with creating certain committees that they regularly speak to. But all, generally speaking, most were supportive of kind of having that relationship exist. Some of the big themes that mayoral candidates are have said in these responses really have to deal with education. And then you see that crime issue pop up again, where they may say, okay, well, we need a more well-rounded approach to crime, which includes, providing additional services for youth. And then you may see others who are really focused on workforce development, right? Lots of talk about, well, how are we training our students for those jobs that will come available at Blue Oval City? And so those were some of the themes that you kind of see about what mayoral offices would want to really engage with the superintendent about.
Laura Testino, reporter for Chalkbeat, Tennessee. Great article about the Memphis mayoral candidates and their thoughts and feelings and perhaps some actions if they become the next mayor of Memphis. Anything else you want to mention with regards to your article before we let you go? Could you also let us know exactly where our audience, and there are thousands watching right now, where they can find this specific article?
Sure. You can head to Chalkbeat, CHALKBEAT.org, and select the Tennessee community from the drop-down at the top. This story will be on the homepage for you to read through, and I would just really recommend spending a lot of time with it. Candidates really, some of them in particular, really went long on some of these responses, and so a lot of your education questions might be answered there that would not have been asked perhaps as deeply or in as much detail as they were at previous forums.
I love this article, Laura. Thank you so much for joining us on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Way to go, and appreciate your hard work very much. Thanks.
Thank you. Well, life is full of transitions, isn't it? I mean, you think about it. Throughout your life, no matter what season, big or small, we're constantly going through transitions. Some are planned, others are unexpected. No matter how they happen, it can be challenging for us. It could be anything from getting married, moving to a new house, a new job, thinking about retirement, going into retirement. So how do we handle this the best way possible? Let's bring in someone, an expert, who can really kind of help us with life's transition. I'm joined now by licensed professional counselor Elizabeth Drain. She's with Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare to talk more about life's transitions and how to handle them. If you had the best piece of advice, Elizabeth, the number one piece of advice when people are going through transitions, what would it be first and foremost? Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you.
First, most importantly, I would like to say it's very important to understand that, different transitions, everyone handles differently, depending on one's personality coping mechanisms, support system, all of those things make a difference in terms of how you handle life transitions. However, I would like to discuss 8 coping strategies that can be implemented daily to assist you in navigating these challenges. Okay, so the first one I would say, accept change as a normal part of life. Transitions in life are the easiest for those who possess this attitude. I would also recommend identifying and express your feelings. While trying to push away feelings or fear and anxiety is normal, acknowledging them can help you get over them faster and make them real by writing them down and taking the time to reflect on them. You can reduce these influences over you by acknowledging and expressing these emotions.
So let me ask you what you said off the first one, Elizabeth. You mentioned change is a normal part of life. You know, there are so many people out there that says, I don't like change. I like doing what I'm doing right now. I don't want to change. Where do people have the most problems when it comes to transitions? Is it something that they're dealing with before the transition, the thoughts in their head before actually doing it, or is it something else?
I would say it's probably a combination of all of those things. You know, we're most comfortable with things that we're familiar with. And so when life throws us what I would call change or curveballs, things that we were not expecting, then it takes us out of our comfort zone. And so now we're having challenges navigating the change because it's unfamiliar to us. So absolutely.
You know, I know you mentioned 8 coping strategies, and I want you to continue with that. But I do want to have a little dialogue here because I find it interesting that you're right. I mean, like, we're all going through transitions. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, you know, raising children, of course, and buying a house, getting married, moving to a new city, starting a new job. I mean, everyone's going through that. And you mentioned, you know, right after accepting the fact that there's going to be change in your life, identifying your feelings and expressing your feelings. I mean, it's so important to just, you know, understand why you're feeling the way that you feel, right?
Absolutely. When you can understand and process how you're feeling, why you're feeling those that way, then it makes it a little bit easier for you to cope or plan ahead and problem solve around those feelings that you're having. And as I mentioned, writing those feelings down gives you the opportunity to reflect on them. You know, oftentimes when we're thinking about things, we just reminisce over and over and over, and it just kind of stays stuck in our head. So when we put it on paper, it kind of makes things real, and it gives us the opportunity to process what we're thinking and not just think about it.
I totally agree. So, so continue on with your list of 8 coping strategies.
Okay, so the third one would be focus on the payoff. Consider the lesson you have taken away from previous transitions. Recall the steps you took and what you learned and achieved at each stage, such as changes can offer, you know, useful time to self-reflect, learning to overcome fears and dealing with uncertainty. So just kind of thinking about the payoff, can be helpful as well. Number 4, I would say kind of what we just spoke about. Expect to be uncomfortable. You know, a time of transition can be confusing. It is a normal feeling to feel insecure and anxious, but these feelings are part of the process and they will pass. Absolutely. Number 5, I think it's a really big one. You know, stay sober. It is not a good idea to use alcohol or drugs at this difficult and confusing time, it might make things even more challenging. So I think it's very important to manage, your alcohol consumption or drug use during this time.
Yeah, staying sober. I want to hit on that too, because a lot of times people are so nervous. They're concerned about the transition, wanting it to go so well. They're nervous. They might have a drink or two or three, and suddenly they're not sober, and so their thinking is a little bit off base. But staying sober is so important in these critical transitions. I love that. And then expecting it to be uncomfortable. I always tell people, including my kids, I always tell them, hey, look, that first year of being in a new city, a new job, give yourself some time, because it's going to take a while. You're going to be uncomfortable. But if you just focus on the tasks at hand, focus on the payoff, like you said, it's going to be okay. And staying sober and expect a little bit of uncomfortableness for a while, it'll come through in the end. But I'm enjoying these 8 strategies. Please continue.
Okay, number 6, build your support system. Seek the support of your friends, your family members. Transition period is a great opportunity to seek a counselor's assistance, and especially for someone that may have a limited support system, the counselor can definitely help guide them through the transition process in a safe and supportive environment. Number 7, acknowledge what you are leaving behind. The first step toward accepting the new is accepting and letting go of the past to make room for the new. And then number 8 is normal to feel as though your life is out of control. Find one tiny thing you can control right now to help you feel more in control.
Is there one aspect that you find people struggle with the most, Elizabeth?
I would say managing their thoughts, because our thoughts kind of drive every emotion, feeling that we have. So I find that people struggle the most with managing the thoughts that they're having, which is why number 8 is really, really important, because if you narrow that focus and focus on the thing that you can control, or even narrow it down to one tiny thing, then it gives you more of a sense of control over what's going on.
I love the list of 8. Is there a place where people can find that list and maybe some other helpful hints online?
Well, yes. Go to the Methodist EAP website, and all of our newsletters are on there. This was this month's newsletter, so they'll be able to access this information on there.
Okay, and what is the web address?
Methodist Healthcare Employee Assistance Program.org.
Okay, so methodisthealth.org. Gotcha. All right. Well, listen, Elizabeth Drain, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for laying it out for us, some of the issues that some people have when it comes to getting through those transitions in life. I think it really helped people to just kind of talk about it and let people know that, hey, this is a part of life. This is something that everyone goes through, and here's a way to handle it effectively. Thanks very much.
All right. Thank you.
I want to talk about some new data coming out from a first ever list of top 20 companies for work well-being. Yeah, this is an inaugural Better Work Awards. It's a list that comes at a critical time for job seekers, as data shows that 85% of U.S. workers agree it's so important to find a company that cares about how you feel. So there are now top 20 companies out there for work well-being. Let's talk to someone about this. I'm joined right now by leading expert Kyle MK, talent strategy advisor, to discuss this list, some of the data that was found. Kyle, good morning. How are you?
Morning, Andrew. How are you doing? Thanks for having me.
Doing well, feeling good. I love where I work and my work well-being, but I'm interested in hearing about this list. Tell me what the data shows.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, as you know, COVID has disrupted quite a bit of things, and one of those is the expectation around work well-being and work environment. And so these past 4 years, Indeed has created the world's largest study on work well-being, and it's given us a lot of data on what employees and what job seekers are looking for in their next long-term employer.
I totally get it. In fact, mental health, there's such an emphasis on it coming out of the pandemic. I can totally get why people are more focused on well-being here. So let's talk about some of the best companies for worker well-being, and are they hiring this morning?
Yeah, we actually, so as part of the Better Work Awards, we've highlighted those 20 companies, and coming in as number one, we've got a truck stop. We've got Love's Travel Stops and Country Stores, along with all different types of companies from all different industries, such as like H&R Block and Apple, and even right out of Memphis, we've got FedEx on the list.
Fantastic. Great to hear FedEx made the list. Let's see. So you got Love's Truck Stop and FedEx. I mean, Love's are all over the place here in the Mid-South area. Tell me where FedEx landed on the list. Glad to know that they made the list.
Yeah, they landed at number 17. So, very proud to say that a lot of employees there have said that they really, really love working there.
Tell me about the criterion you guys use to develop, these top companies in a worker well-being setting.
Yeah, well, we try not to put too much of our fingerprints on the awards. We're really trying to get out of the way. These awards are based off of more than 15 million surveys that have been filled out by employees all over the country. And we just ask them questions about their well-being, and they tell us, they give us a score for their company. And so those companies with the highest scores, those are the ones that made the list. So really, these awards are just the employees telling us who they believe to be the best when it comes to employee experience.
I think that almost gives it a little bit more credibility, is that you're talking to the actual employees at the company that are fulfilling these surveys, and therefore it's coming from them themselves. What do these companies, if you can look at the data, Kyle, what do they all have in common?
Well, they have a few things in common, but the biggest one is that they listen to their employees. They ask them specific questions around their well-being, and then they take action to remove friction between people and their best work. And so of these companies that I named, the big things that they've been focusing on lately is creating more career growth opportunities within the company, providing more flexibility, whether that be how someone works, where they work, or even when they work. And maybe most important, they are focused on creating a culture of belonging where someone can be their full self when they walk into the doors, and they don't necessarily have to have a work persona.
I'm curious, and I don't know if this came out of the data, Kyle, but do you see more companies investing in workers' well-being?
Oh, yeah. There's lots of companies out there that have invested quite a bit in their well-being since COVID. I know that PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, had invested, I think, more than $1 billion, or committed to more than $1 billion over the course of the next few years when it comes to the employee experience. So this is very, very top of mind for many employers out there.
Excellent. Anything else that we can touch on with regards to the data, the actual survey? What else we could tell our viewers?
Yeah, just say that if anyone's out there and they're looking for a job with a company that cares very much about your well-being, I'd highly recommend going to Indeed.com and looking up those Better Work Awards to find those companies. And then if you're working for a company right now and you'd like to tell us how you feel, again, just go to Indeed.com and fill out a survey.
All right, Kyle MK, Talent Strategy Advisor. We appreciate you and all the data regarding this survey. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks for joining us here on ActionNews5.com, as well as the Action News 5 digital properties, and also on Action News 5 digital channel 5.5. Of course, the weather looking pretty nice for us here today. Temperatures topping out in the lower 90s. Mostly sunny skies will give way to a few more clouds by the afternoon hours. Overall, a pretty quiet way to get through your Tuesday across the area with temperatures again upper 80s and lower 90s. Clouds will gradually increase tonight ahead of our next weather maker. We won't see very much in the way of rain, but it will come to the back doorstep basically for Wednesday afternoon in eastern Arkansas. We'll get temperatures to the middle and upper 80s for your Wednesday, and then the rain chances will start to increase as we head into your Thursday. Of course, that will be election day, so some opportunities for rain look to be in play for your election day outings across the Mid-South. Don't let that deter you. Get out there and just bring an umbrella if you've got to go out to the polls on Thursday. Lunchtime, see the rain beginning to build off towards the east as the first front of two fronts makes its way through the region. The second front on its way, that will drop in here as we head into your Friday into Saturday. As of the early morning hours of Tuesday, we've got the Mississippi River levels coming up a little bit actually, but not for very much longer. This is actually the byproduct of some rain that we got last week over in northern portions of the Mississippi River Valley, the mid-Mississippi Valley, and through the Ohio River Valley. That's now starting to come downstream. Moving forward, though, it does look like there will be a downward trend yet again, and likely getting down closer to that record low level at some point in time as we head towards next week yet again. But we do at least get some localized rain opportunities. It's not out of the realm of possibility as we head towards the mid-portion of the week. You saw there with the Futurecast model. And behind that system, cooler air is going to be dropping southward direct from Canada. The Canadian Express dropping southward for the weekend, and that means our temperatures going from 10 degrees above average today to about 10 to 15 degrees below average by the time we head towards the upcoming weekend. Upon the 7-day forecast, 91 the forecast high. We will go to the middle and upper 80s for your Wednesday as clouds begin to thicken up. Chance for a couple of showers primarily over into eastern Arkansas, and that will spread eastward as we head towards your election day Thursday for the municipal elections here in Memphis. Working our way back to the 70s for highs both Thursday and Friday. Now, Friday will be a day where we'll be in a transition phase as we'll be in between systems. We'll be back and forth between clouds and sun. A rogue shower chance on the front side of the day. The second front drops in here Friday night. Lows in the 60s to lows in the 50s to lows in the 40s when you wake up early on Sunday morning heading out to church services. Will be a cool day, a brisk day on Saturday, especially. I think we'll have winds northerly about 10 to 20 miles per hour, so you're definitely going to notice the cooler air filtering into the Mid-South. Temperatures will be in the 60s for highs in some of the cooler pockets north of town and low 70s elsewhere, and we'll eventually rebound back through the middle 70s by early next week. And eventually, it looks like our numbers do recover towards the upper 70s and lower 80s through the extended forecast that you can find on the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. You can download it in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store.
Good morning, everyone. Andrew Douglas here in the Action News 5 Digital Desk. The Choose Kindness Project is unveiling some groundbreaking resources for parents, educators, and coaches to combat bullying and support youth mental health. I'm joined now by Dr. Yelda Oels. She's a PhD child psychologist, author, and founder of the Center of Scholars and Storytellers at UCLA. Good morning, Dr. Oels. Let's talk a little bit about this project and why it was established.
Thank you, Andrew. Well, this project, the ChooseKindnessProject.org, was established in order to combat bullying and to support youth mental health. It is an alliance of the nation's largest organizations that work on bullying prevention, intentional inclusion, and ultimately, as I said, to combat the mental health crisis that our adolescents are dealing with today.
Gotcha. So tell us about the alarming statistics on the prevalence of bullying right now. And, there's no surprise that it impacts mental health for our youth.
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, the statistics are a little bit all over the place, but the most recent statistics that we conducted is we found that a third of adolescents report that they have been bullied. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more, depending on the way it's defined. But one of the things that's even more alarming is that while many adolescents say they've been bullied, very few report that they talk to an adult about it.
So the Choose Kindness Project developed some resources at all this, and in response to these findings, tell me about the parent playbook and the educator and coach toolkit.
So these are resources that are free on the site. We developed the parenting playbook at the Center for Scholars and Storytellers at UCLA. And what we did is we took the amazing resources from all of these incredible organizations that are part of Choose Kindness, and we put them together in one easy package. We have 3 different playbooks. One is for adults, caring adults in a child's life who have a child who's been bullied, and there are talking points, ways you can bring this up with your child. We have ways you can talk to the teachers, the schools about it. We also have a playbook for parents whose child is a bully. And then we have playbooks for parents who maybe haven't had to deal with this issue, but they want to teach their child to be kind, compassionate, inclusionary, and be sort of proactive about it. There's also educator kits and coaching kits. And if a parent and a teacher or a coach work together, that's going to have the most positive outcomes for our youth.
Where can we go to get these resources?
They're all free on the ChooseKindnessProject.org.
Okay, Dr. Yelda Oels, thank you so much for joining us on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. A great resource for Bullying Prevention Month. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, and you can download them anytime.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, live look right now from our High Five camera in downtown Memphis. We'll take a quick break, back in 60 seconds. The United Auto Workers strike continues this morning across the country and in Memphis as Sidney Hawkins is on the picket line and has more from not only the picket line, but also from GM and their current offer, which stands at a 21% pay increase.
If you drive here on Pleasant Hill Road, you'll see dozens of auto workers who work at AC Distribution Center in Memphis on strike. This as the supervisor for their workers say the 21% increase General Motors is offering them says he believes that is a good offer. The strike is growing on 3 weeks since thousands of auto workers with Ford Motor Company, General Motors, and Stellantis all across the country walked out of their jobs. It will be 2 weeks for auto workers here in Memphis this Friday. About 200 people work at this plant here on Pleasant Hill Road. 180 of those employees are hourly employees, while 20 of them are salary. The hourly employees tell me they're working to increase their pay and decrease the amount of overtime they're required to work. The plant manager, Courtney Harrison, says the overtime hours are worked voluntarily, and he says he believes the 21% pay increase General Motors is offering is a good offer.
The overtime rules are in our nationally bargained contract. There are some things that we have to do, from that we had to abide by, obviously, and a lot of the overtime is voluntary. So we continue to make sure work-life balance is important for our team members, and we're doing all of that and trying to address where we can to make sure that people are having the time off they need to rest and recharge their bodies.
The 21% pay increase is the same offer Ford as well as Stellantis are offering their employees. Auto workers across the nation are asking for a 40% pay increase. And back here in Memphis, those workers tell me they will remain on the picket line until that offer is met. Reporting in Memphis, Sidney Hawkins, Action News 5.
FedEx Forum has a new clear bag policy. Backpacks, purses all have to be clear. If you don't follow the new rule, you might be turned away at the door. It comes not too long after someone was shot inside FedEx Forum during Lil Baby concert. That is where that video came from. The gunman was in court last week. He was arrested. We're waiting to learn more about possible renovations to FedEx Forum. Memphis Mayor Jim Strickland's $684 million stadium plan to renovate the Bluff City sports arenas, and apparently $550 million could go to FedEx Forum. Grizzlies GM is Zach Kleinman. He's also a former NBA Executive of the Year. He says despite the negotiations about the funding, the team loves to be here in Memphis.
As it pertains to, everything related to the negotiation with the city, that's very much, Wex's purview. I think he's doing a great job, navigating that. I don't think it, even needs to be said, but, I love the city of Memphis. This is home for me.
Last week, 22-year-old Kevin Young was arrested and charged with reckless endangerment in the FedEx Forum shooting. FedEx Forum officials say that safety is top priority for fans and for staff. Memphis police looking for the man who took a gun from a person's hip holster, threatened to shoot it. Investigators say the victim was inside a gas station, Perkins Road, back on September 21st when the gunman apparently snatched a weapon. Excuse me. After a struggle, investigators say he took off in a black Hyundai sedan. The suspect was wearing a pink skull cap, a black Looney Tunes t-shirt, gray pants, white shoes. You can see him right there. If you know anything, call or text Crime Stoppers. 901-528-CASH is the number. I want to show you this. An arrest has been made after the shooting of a 4-year-old child. Investigators arrested 21-year-old Bryant Van after his 4-year-old nephew shot himself in the legs on Teresa Cove last week. Investigators say Van hid the gun and shell casings in the backyard. He's charged with child abuse, tampering with evidence. The little boy is expected to recover. In West Memphis, Arkansas, large warehouse blaze under control after burning for some 3 days, but there's still some concerns. Hotspots could lead to more problems. Stephanie Douglas has more.
Well, flames at this West Memphis storage facility broke out Saturday morning, but because of the large amount of debris inside, the West Memphis fire chief says it could take by the end of this week to get everything completely extinguished. Clouds of thick black smoke billowing into the sky could be seen from miles away Saturday.
At 9:30 Saturday morning, we received a call from our fire dispatch that we had a commercial structure on fire on North 7th Street.
And 3 days later, this West Memphis warehouse is still burning. The West Memphis fire chief says firefighters have been working around the clock in shifts to extinguish hidden fires throughout the 4 acres of land.
Once the roof was compromised, it collapsed. And once the roof collapsed, it collapsed on top of all the debris. So there's voids in there now. We got a heavy city equipment out, moving stuff around so the firefighters can put the hot spots out up under the debris.
City of West Memphis officials say the warehouse belongs to Ultimum Packaging Company. The company used the warehouse as a storage facility for plastic bottle products. According to fire officials, the plastic is what caused majority of the intense black smoke, but never affected the air quality.
What we have at this point is this sort of smoldering smoke. So there's a little bit of discomfort for residents just from the smell of the smoke alone, but it doesn't pose any health hazard to them at this point.
While firefighters are working actively to put out the blaze, the city says it's doing its part to look for another facility for the company. Well, the West Memphis Fire Department says that no one was hurt in the fire and the cause is still under investigation. Reporting from West Memphis, I'm Stephanie Douglas, Action News 5.
We're keeping a close eye on the Mississippi River level, just inches away from the record low. Farmers who rely on the water highway need operations like the Dredge Hurley to keep the river running. Sarah Gridner with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers says operations like this will help farmers send their crops down the river, avoiding the higher costs associated with the ground shipping.
Am I concerned that it could go lower? I think it's definitely a possibility. I don't think it's going to shut down the river by any means, just because we have a huge operation going on.
Right now, the Memphis stretch of the Mississippi River is sitting around minus 10 feet. Former President Donald Trump stepped off the campaign trail to spend the day in a Manhattan courtroom. Emily Schmidt reports.
Mr. Trump, why do you want to be here in person today? Because I want to watch this witch hunt myself.
Former President Donald Trump calls his civil court trial election interference. But instead of the White House, it's partially about Trump's house, the Trump Tower he departed Monday on his way to court. Prosecutors presented court documents saying in 2017, Trump told Forbes his tower penthouse was 33,000 square feet, 3 times the size reported in 2004, overvaluing between $114 to $207 million.
Good morning, everyone.
New York's Attorney General says that overinflating happened across company financial reports for a decade, resulting in better business terms that have led to 7 claims against Trump and others.
No matter how powerful you are, no matter how much money you think you may have, no one is above the law.
Last week, the judge overseeing the case ruled on the first claim, saying the president is liable for fraud.
This judge should be disbarred.
Trump also discredited the prosecution.
We have a racist attorney general who's a horror show.
Trump's attorney argued in opening statements there was no intent to defraud, no victims, no unjust profits. Attorney General James seeks $250 million, a ban on the Trumps serving as business officers in the state, and a ban on their company from doing business for 5 years. The judge promised to say little during the trial. Trump did not promise the same. I'm Emily Schmidt reporting.
This week is Black Restaurant Week. We're talking about Black-owned restaurants here with Fallon Farrell. She's joining us now on the Action News 5 digital desk, and this has been going on for years. It's always a success. Tell us about this year, Fallon. Good morning.
Good morning. We are super excited this year. We have a little over 30 restaurants participating around the Memphis metro area, and we literally still have restaurants signing up daily. So that's the beautiful thing about this campaign. There is something from everyone to enjoy, everything from desserts to vegan food to barbecue. It really just shows the diversity that Memphis is bringing to the food scene.
No question about it. I can remember last year, and I enjoyed it. I was downtown, went to an establishment there, and had a fantastic meal. But these aren't just for downtown restaurants. This is scattered throughout the city, right?
Correct. So we're scattered all throughout the city. There's even a couple of restaurants in some of the surrounding areas that are participating as well. So that's also the beauty of the campaign. You have some businesses that are pretty much virtual, selling their goods through like Grubhub and some of those other delivery platforms. But that's the beauty of the website. You could kind of research and see everything that the restaurants are offering, the specials, how to purchase them, what type of establishment it is. And it's really built to be a resource even after the campaign leaves. We understand that it's hard to hit up 30 restaurants in 1 week. So this way, you could continue to use the platform as a resource throughout the year, especially as we gear for the holiday season with gift cards and holiday entertaining.
There's probably going to be a couple people out there that are going to try to hit all 30, I'm sure. But so, yeah, I was going to say, we have thousands of people that watch us each and every morning here on the Digital Desk. Where can they go to get the list, maybe check out the menu, maybe put in a reservation?
Yeah, so definitely check out our website, blackrestaurantweeks.com with an S. And if you click on the Southeast Black Restaurant Week, it'll showcase all the restaurants that are participating throughout the campaign. It'll highlight the different specials that they're offering. And you can also follow us on social media, Black Restaurant Week as well.
Yeah, and this is for any palate out there. I mean, there really is a diverse group of food here, right?
Correct. I mean, everything from Curry and Jerk, which does Caribbean food, to, as I mentioned, we have a couple of vegan restaurants participating. We have a barbecue restaurant. Of course, it's wings, so we have Debo's. And I mean, there's really something for everyone. And I think that's the beauty of the platform. Just because it's Black owned doesn't mean that it's not bringing diversity to the food scene.
Certainly. Okay. All right. Well, listen, Falyn Farrell, we really appreciate your time this morning. Thanks so much for joining us on the Digital Desk, and good luck this week.
Thank you. I enjoy. Thank you for having me.
All right, let's talk about this Best Life report, talking about the transition back into the workforce. It certainly can be difficult for so many people who've been out of the workforce, especially for those stay-at-home moms out there. In fact, according to one study, those who take time off from work to care for their family have about a 50% lower chance of being called for an interview than those who are unemployed for other reasons. And in this Best Life report, you're going to find some ways to make that transition back to work seamless so that all parents can live their best life. You're the family teacher, nurse, chef, organizer, planner, Uber driver, and professional cleaner. In fact, Salary.com estimates that if a stay-at-home mom earned an annual salary for all the jobs, it would exceed $184,000. So why is it so hard for moms to plan a career comeback?
I feel like the time that you've spent with your kids, you kind of lose your identity a little bit, and it's hard to go back and learn the new things.
Personally, I don't think we are getting like credits as we should because we do a lot of work.
One survey found 93% of women who stayed at home to care for their children have experienced or anticipate it being a real challenge for them to re-enter the workforce. But a little planning can make the process smoother. First, try talking to other working moms. Ask for advice about how they juggle family and career. If you have a long gap in your resume, brush up on industry trends by taking online training courses in your field. It's also a good idea to look for opportunities to expand your networks by joining professional associations, attending networking events, or go to industry-specific conferences. Also, update your resume. Another idea for stay-at-home moms who have been out of work for a while is to hire a career coach, a professional who can coach you on how to land that ideal job. With Ways to Live Your Best Life, I'm Andrew Douglas, Action News 5. The FDA is warning hospitals about using probiotics in infants born prematurely. It comes after the death of a preterm baby who was given a probiotic in the hospital. In the letter, the FDA cautioned healthcare providers that bacterial and fungi found in probiotics might put preterm infants at risk of invasive, potentially fatal infections. The letter references the case of an infant who received the probiotic in vivo with MCT oil. The product is manufactured by Infant Health for use in hospital settings. Infant Health agreed to recall the product, notify healthcare providers and hospitals. Okay, bizarre traffic moment that was caught on cameras gone viral, and once you see it, you'll understand why. Here's Jeremy Roth.
Police in Slovakia had a bone to pick with a motorist after traffic cameras captured what appeared to be the man's dog behind the wheel of a speeding car. In what's already a legendary Facebook post, police shared traffic cam images clearly showing the dog behind the wheel. According to the post, the driver, who was cited and fined, claimed the dog unexpectedly jumped into his lap, but police said there was no video evidence to support that claim. In fact, no moving video was released at all, which is a doggone shame. The pic, of course, went viral though, and social media did what it does best, offering such helpful insights as that dog likely drives better than most people. To wit, video from New Jersey shows a very human driver crashing into a police station and then immediately surrendering to officers who seemed kind of unfazed by the surreal and brash crash. The man was reportedly blaring the song Welcome to the Jungle during the crash, which police say they now believe was intentional. Keeping the car craziness a-rollin', take a look at a next-level tailgate party, courtesy of Lions fans in a strange land. Dubbed the Tub Gators, this crew of Detroit faithful made a big splash in Green Bay, partying at the Packers game in their hot tub tailgate and tavern on wheels. They were good sports, though, inviting cheeseheads into their frothy football fricassee to break bread, beers, rather. Finally, if you're behind the wheel and are in the mood for some lovely fall foliage sightseeing, then steer this away. The amazing seasonal color transformation is already taking over in places like Utah, where folks like this motorcycle rider are already falling for fall. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
All right, can you tell who this skeleton in suburban Allentown, Pennsylvania is supposed to be? Well, some people who call themselves Swifties do. Meet Skylar Swift. Yep, the blonde hair, 3 wigs sewn together to help create the pop star's trademark bangs, and the dress is blue to go along with Swift's release of her newly re-recorded album, 1989. The records are color-coded, and the 1989 is the blue album, as you can see. There is... Taylor's not cruising solo. You got Michael Owens, who created a Skylar Swift. He also made the companion modeled after boyfriend Travis Kelce. All right. Yes, can't get enough of those two. October is National Pet Wellness Month. It's a reminder to take steps to ensure your furry friend is healthy and well so that they can live a long and happy life. Some tips to do that: schedule their biannual or annual checkup if they haven't had one. Talk to your vet about any health issues to look out for. Obesity is a common problem in dogs and cats today. So talk with your vet about what you can do if your pet is not at the healthy weight. Be sure you're up to date on vaccinations and medications, and consider getting them a dental cleaning. Then they need their teeth cleaned just like we do. If you don't have a pet, there's no better time than the National Pet Wellness Month to volunteer or support an animal welfare organization near you. Well, good morning, everyone. Andrew Douglas here in the Action News 5 digital desk. The U.S. Latino community, some have some of the highest rates of high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity. That's the leading factors, of course, for stroke. We know that all too well here in Memphis and the Mid-South. Up to 80% of strokes. I don't know if you knew this, but up to 80% of strokes can be prevented if identified and treated early. So
See, I
right
don't even
now
like
there
that,
is
but
a campaign
I like Travis
that's been
Kelce
launched
better,
to
but,
help identify these strokes and just kind of inform people about
I'm with you.
stroke, heart disease, and what contributes to it so we can bring
It's
down
a little
those
ridiculous.
numbers. Let's bring in someone who knows a little bit about this new campaign. It's kind of interesting. I'd like to talk to him about it. Dr. Hugo Aparicio joining us on the Action News 5 digital
given me
desk.
yet another reason not to
Appreciate
watch
you
it.
joining us, Doctor. Let's talk a little bit about this campaign. It's called Rapido. Tell me about it. It's an acronym, right?
Yes, thank you. Appreciate you having me on the program. Rapido is a culturally sensitive Spanish acronym that's meant to raise awareness about common stroke symptoms, really targeting the Hispanic and Latino community. It's developed by the American Heart Association and the American Stroke Association, both to raise awareness, improve stroke outcomes, and address disparities that exist for Hispanic and Latino people in the United States. The acronym to learn how to spot a stroke is Rápido. In Spanish, it's R, rostro caído, A, alteración del equilibrio, P, pérdida de fuerza en el brazo, I, impedimento visual, D, dificultad para hablar, and O, obtén ayuda, llama al 911. And so what that means is it's words that, an acronym that helps recognize face weakness, loss of balance or equilibrium, arm weakness, sudden vision difficulty, sudden speech change or slurred speech, and finally a call to get help to call 911 immediately upon recognition of one or more of these symptoms.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with that. I do a lot of work with the American Heart Association, so I know about some, various acronyms. But this is the first time I've heard about Rapido, and it's really important to have these kind of Spanish acronyms as a way to reach out to the Latina community. Tell me some of the reasons behind it.
Well, as you know, since 2013, the association has promoted the FAST acronym for English speakers, recognizing face, arm, speech, and time. But according to research, only 18% of Spanish-speaking Hispanics and Latinos that were surveyed were familiar with stroke symptoms. That, in addition to the fact that the prevalence or the occurrence of stroke will increase over the next decade, up to 30% of Hispanic males will suffer a stroke by the year 2030. So it became an urgent priority for the American Heart Association to develop this Spanish acronym, Rápido.
How do we lower our risk of stroke, Doctor?
Well, risk of stroke has many factors that contribute to that increased risk. Some folks that have had a stroke in the past are at increased risk, and also it's an increasing risk with age. That being said, it's important to note that anyone can have a stroke at any age, and the risk is possible both in men and women. So the risk factors that we've identified that are most important to treat to prevent a stroke are conditions like atrial fibrillation, diabetes, hypertension, obesity, and high cholesterol. These are the most important risk factors that we know of that starting from early adult life, you should try to recognize, screen for, treat, and that can help reduce your risk because uncontrolled risk factors such as those really significantly increase risk of stroke.
What else can we talk about with this new campaign? I mean, I'm sure it's not just for September, even though September is Hispanic Heritage Month. I mean, it's all year long, correct?
Yes, what we're hoping with this campaign is to raise awareness of common stroke symptoms because it is entirely true that stroke is preventable, treatable, and also beatable, meaning that we have about 80% of the strokes that we see are preventable. And then when a stroke is recognized, time is of the essence because if we can have people call 911 and seek attention in the emergency room, they can first diagnose the stroke, figure out what type of stroke it is, and then we have treatments now that can really save lives and improve people's quality of life, lowering their risk of disability in the setting of a stroke. So all of these factors are very important, and it's something we can do with a specific focus, especially on the Hispanic and Latino community, to decrease barriers to care.
Anything else you want to mention, Doctor, before we let you go?
Yes, we have a lot of information online on the websites for the campaign. If people can refer to stroke.org/rápido for the English page, and then in Spanish, derramecerebral.org for more information and to learn more.
Okay, Dr. Hugo Aparicio, we appreciate you joining us on the Action News 5 digital desk. Thanks so very much. Very important information. Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thanks for joining us here on ActionNews5.com, as well as the Action News 5 digital properties, and also on Action News 5 digital channel 5.5. Of course, the weather looking pretty nice for us here today. Temperatures topping out in the lower 90s. Mostly sunny skies will give way to a few more clouds by the afternoon hours. Overall, a pretty quiet way to get through your Tuesday across the area with temperatures again upper 80s and lower 90s. Clouds will gradually increase tonight ahead of our next weather maker. We won't see very much in the way of rain, but it will come to the back doorstep basically for Wednesday afternoon in eastern Arkansas. We'll get temperatures to the middle and upper 80s for your Wednesday, and then the rain chances will start to increase as we head into your Thursday. Of course, that will be election day, so some opportunities for rain look to be in play for your election day outings across the Mid-South. Don't let that deter you. Get out there and just bring an umbrella if you've got to go out to the polls on Thursday. Lunchtime, see the rain beginning to build off towards the east as the first front of two fronts makes its way through the region. The second front on its way, that will drop in here as we head into your Friday into Saturday. As of the early morning hours of Tuesday, we've got the Mississippi River levels coming up a little bit actually, but not for very much longer. This is actually the byproduct of some rain that we got last week over in northern portions of the Mississippi River Valley, the mid-Mississippi Valley, and through the Ohio River Valley. That's now starting to come downstream. Moving forward, though, it does look like there will be a downward trend yet again, and likely getting down closer to that record low level at some point in time as we head towards next week yet again. But we do at least get some localized rain opportunities. It's not out of the realm of possibility as we head towards the mid-portion of the week. You saw there with the Futurecast model. And behind that system, cooler air is going to be dropping southward direct from Canada. The Canadian Express dropping southward for the weekend, and that means our temperatures going from 10 degrees above average today to about 10 to 15 degrees below average by the time we head towards the upcoming weekend. Upon the 7-day forecast, 91 the forecast high. We will go to the middle and upper 80s for your Wednesday as clouds begin to thicken up. Chance for a couple of showers primarily over into eastern Arkansas. That will spread eastward as we head towards your election day Thursday for the municipal elections here in Memphis. Working our way back to the 70s for highs both Thursday and Friday. Now, Friday will be a day where we'll be in a transition phase as we'll be in between systems. We'll be back and forth between clouds and sun. A rogue shower chance on the front side of the day. The second front drops in here Friday night. We'll go from lows in the 60s to lows in the 50s to lows in the 40s when you wake up early on Sunday morning heading out to church services. Will be a cool day, a brisk day on Saturday, especially. I think we'll have winds northerly about 10 to 20 miles per hour, so you're definitely going to notice the cooler air filtering into the Mid-South. Temperatures will be in the 60s for highs in some of the cooler pockets north of town and low 70s elsewhere, and we'll eventually rebound back through the middle 70s by early next week. And eventually, it looks like our numbers do recover towards the upper 70s and lower 80s through the extended forecast that you can find on the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. You can download it in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store.
We have a consumer alert this morning that I want to tell you about in 60 seconds. Stay with us. All right, back here, 70 degrees, 8:37 on the Action News 5 digital desk. A consumer alert this morning brought on by Mother Nature with a little rain in the forecast. Drought conditions affecting all of Mississippi, hitting the lumber industry hard. Holly Emery from our sister station in Jackson explains how the drought could impact your next construction project. Take a look.
For 3 months, Mississippi has seen drought conditions and 838 wildfires since August, and that's burning through one of the state's largest economic drivers, the timber industry.
I mean, you're talking about a $13 billion industry and 70,000 jobs. So trees are extremely important to Mississippi.
State Forester Russell Bozeman says over 19 million acres of the Magnolia State is covered in forest, and the combination of heat and the lack of rain means those trees are at risk.
When a human's good and healthy, then they're more likely to not get sick when they encounter something. But when you do have a stressed immune system, same thing with a tree. When its vigor is down, is suppressed, it's not as likely to fight off the insects or disease that may encounter.
Bob Young with Frierson Bailey Lumber and Supply Company says that's concerning for him, especially when his business is dependent on the growth of old and new trees.
When foresters cut trees, they replant. And trees are growing a lot faster than they used to be. So they need everything they can have to grow. The more fertilizer, the more water, so to speak. And so I think in multiple ways it would hurt this industry.
So how do unhealthy trees impact you? Young says it's simple economics.
If the drought keeps going, it's going to get us. And the price of materials will go up because of some supply and demand theory.
More specifically, Young says the price of southern yellow pine, a tree that is widely used in construction and grown locally here in Mississippi.
It will be bad. It will be bad. If we don't have the trees, we can't make the boards. And if you don't have the boards, you can't make houses. So it will definitely affect. But hopefully that won't happen. Hopefully we'll get rain.
And staying on topic, the hot, dry weather taking its toll on trees all around homes, causing limbs to break. Limbs recently fell on this 72-foot oak tree, landed on the roof of this house in Mississippi. Stephen Savell is an expert tree crunner. He is removing the trees in sections to prevent it from falling through the house. He says trees are filled with water during the drought water conditions. Water evaporates, leaving the wood very brittle.
People don't realize how much water that trees actually hold, and with this drought, they're not getting water, they're releasing all the water. So a lot of the limbs are getting a lot more brittle, breaking off.
Experts suggest removing limbs growing toward the ground and hanging over the house to avoid damage to your roof and other property. There's a new way people can save on their monthly student loan bills. It's called Save. It's an acronym. It stands for Saving on a Valuable Education Plan, and consumer investigator Rachel DePompa explains how it all works.
With student loan payments resuming October 1st, we're taking a look at the new SAVE plan being offered by the government. Eligible borrowers can enroll in this new income-driven repayment plan that could lower monthly bills and reduce the amount paid over the lifetime of a student loan. Once the plan is phased in, some people will see their monthly bills cut in half and remaining debt canceled after making at least 10 years in payments. Cherry Dale, a financial coach with the Virginia Credit Union, says if you're single and make $32,800 a year, you would qualify for a zero payment option.
You do want to keep in mind, they're not erasing that debt. That debt is still there, right? And you still owe it. And so even if you're not making those payments on there, that debt load is still in your name. However, it won't impact your credit, or you won't be in bad standing if you enter into the program and you qualify for those zero payments each month.
Under the SAVE plan, a qualifying family of 4 earning $67,500 or less also might not owe a payment. She says if you make your monthly payment, your loan balance won't grow because of unpaid interest.
Let's say they don't owe anything each month. That doesn't mean they don't necessarily make any payment. They could still make a $50 payment. They just don't have to. But if they're making that $50 payment, it's going to that principal of the loan, and you are starting to pay that loan down and what you owe.
If you'd like to enroll and see if you qualify, you can go over to studentaid.gov. There's a message at the top of the website that says, learn more about the SAVE plan. With This Watching Your Wallet, I'm Rachel DePompa.
Andrew Douglas here in the Action News 5 digital desk. According to the American Veterinary Medical Association, approximately 1 in 4 dogs, that's 25% of them, will develop a tumor at some stage in their life. Now, here to talk to us about the first of its kind National Canine Cancer Registry is Dr. Susan Ettinger, a veterinary cancer specialist, and Lisa Conte. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us. So let's hear about the first Gallup survey and how this all works.
Yeah, so the Gallup poll was a survey of over 6,000 people, and about 67% of them were dog owners. So much information was collected. One of the interesting findings, we're looking at the prevalence and incidence of dog cancer. And the prevalence in 2021 for dogs was about 3.4%, which is less than 5% in people. What's so interesting and scary was the incidence. So newly diagnosed cancer cases in dogs was 2.8%, which is 5 times what we're seeing in people, which is 0.57%. So we really need this registry so we can understand why we're seeing so much cancer in dogs. We do know that it's unfortunately the #1 reason that dogs will die.
So the registry is a long-term commitment, and it's all about information, about data, about facts. So we can have a better opportunity to assess the risk of cancer in our dogs, which we're hearing is the #1 killer in dogs. And also, so we have the best opportunity for early diagnosis, prevention and treatment options, and overall to provide the best care and comfort to our doggy friends.
So the registry is a retrospective. It started with a review of over 35,000 medical records, and we're reviewing that information for cancer diagnosis, looking at information like the breed of the dog, gender, location, so where do they live, and then all that is entered into a secure database. It's de-identified, so it's all anonymous. And then we're going to continue to collect information, and that's where we need help of the veterinary community, so veterinary clinics can upload information. And if you're a pet owner with a dog that's been diagnosed with cancer, you can also upload your pet's information. And again, everything will be anonymous and it's all free.
So we're launching the registry today. So the response that we have from the Gallup survey, 80% of the respondents want a registry. They understand how important this is to be able to take the best care of their dogs, take the best care of their whole family. Dogs that when a pet owner gets the diagnosis of cancer in their dogs, about 70% of the time they go into depression. And you think of these dogs are so important for our emotional health, and it sort of reverses that role. So it's takechargeregistry.com. That's where this information can be uploaded. This is the first of its kind in the United States. Registries exist in Europe. So this is a long-term commitment, and we're going to continue to upload data and continue to look at the progress that we're making in treating cancer in dogs, hopefully part of the benefit of having this registry.
Boy, it has been a busy season for natural disasters. The American Red Cross has been super busy as well. In fact, we were talking about this earlier this morning on Action News 5. American Red Cross says it's handling nearly twice as many large disasters as it did a decade ago. We're talking about floods, wildfires, heat, other major events. And right now, the organization is launching an ambitious new effort to help families. I want to bring in a humanitarian coordinator. This is Trevor Riggin. He is joining us on the digital desk. He's the president of humanitarian services at the American Red Cross. Trevor, good morning to you. Let's talk about some of the natural disasters and particularly the humanitarian perspective in all this. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on. You know, as you mentioned, there are just more and more disasters happening every single day. And in fact, in 2023, we have already seen 23 different billion-dollar disasters, 23 disasters that caused more than $1 billion in insured loss. That's a new annual record for the United States. The previous high was 22, and this is just in the first 8 months. And the story that doesn't tell is the impact on families. We are seeing such devastating impact on frontline communities, those communities that are facing not only the front line of a climate crisis, more repetitive disasters, heavier impact, more intense disasters. They're also suffering from chronic social issues like health, hunger, and housing. And so this ambitious effort we've launched is really to help us make sure communities have the resources they need to respond immediately, but also to build through to long-term recovery moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, you can just see in that video that there's just been so many, it seems like, you know, every week or every couple of weeks. Can you talk a little bit about how the American Red Cross is adapting to all these different disasters and the challenges and also the impact on families and communities, Trevor?
Absolutely. So you can see what's actually happening today is a great example. So today we're mobilizing resources all along the East Coast in anticipation of Hurricane Lee and the potential impacts in New England, all while we still have more than 2,000 Red Cross volunteers on the ground in places like Hawaii, which is recovering from just the devastating wildfires we saw there just a few weeks ago, the effects of the hurricane in Florida and Georgia and the Carolinas, and even devastating floods up in Vermont. And so as a part of this effort, we expect to spend at least $1 billion over the next several years. We're going to be adapting our mission to make sure we're providing better services, more enhanced services to families, and especially more equitable services so that those that need help the most get help first. We also have to expand our capacity, recruit more volunteers. We're going to be adding new employees into key markets and engaging more local, more hyper-local partners that can be right there on the front lines with us. Internationally, we're going to focus our programming on climate, making sure we're institutionalizing disaster preparedness and engaging youth in climate emergencies. And finally, we're doing our own parts. We have to reduce the Red Cross impact on the planet. We're doing that by reducing our own emissions, getting rid of waste and slashing water usage all across the organization.
So, Trevor, you know, we had something on the morning broadcast earlier talking about blood supply levels with the American Red Cross. And because of all these natural disasters, the blood supply level is low. Can you talk a little bit about that and efforts to raise the blood supply with the American Red Cross?
You're exactly right. We have had, you know, we have to hold over 1,200 blood drives every single day to make sure there's a safe and stable blood supply in our country. And just in the last few weeks, we've seen a 25% reduction in the amount of blood on the shelves, much of that due to severe weather emergency and the need to cancel blood drives. Last year, we saw a 23% increase in the number of canceled drives due to climate emergencies. And so if you are able to, if listeners are able to, please go to redcross.org, sign up to make a blood donation today. Every donation can save up to 3 lives, and there is an urgent need to do that right now.
We have thousands of people tuning in each and every morning here on the Digital Desk. Trevor, you mentioned the blood supply issue. If there are other things that people can at home when they're watching this and perhaps they want to help with the American Red Cross, let's talk about some of the other ways that people can help.
So September is actually National Preparedness Month. So that is the first and most important thing they can do is get ready, get prepared. Make sure your household and your loved ones have a kit. You have the items you need around you in case you do go through a disaster. You can go to redcross.org and get the details on a suggested list of things you can prepare. Have a plan. Make sure you know how you're going to stay connected with family members and loved ones, where you're going to evacuate to if you need to, and what that looks like. And finally, stay informed. It's so important to understand the risk you're facing, especially in a world where our climate is changing, and you know that those impacts are going to be different in your community than perhaps it was 10 years ago. You can actually download the Red Cross app to get severe weather alerts. You can also get information on that app on first aid and where to find shelters in emergency. 2 other ways you can help. One, you can volunteer. Go to redcross.org, sign up to be a humanitarian responder, to be a part of this effort, helping to respond to disasters not only in your local community, but even deploy across the country and even around the world to support families in need. And lastly, you can make a financial donation. Be a part of making sure the Red Cross and our partners have the capacity and the resources we need to keep up with this incredible pace of the climate crisis.
Trevor Riggin, I really appreciate you coming on the Digital Desk. You're the president of Humanitarian Services at the American Red Cross. Thank you so much for taking the time. We appreciate you getting out the word to all of us. Thanks. Back here in the Action News 5 Digital Desk, 70 degrees already at 8:54. We're going to be talking more about the forecast and when we're going to see a cool down coming up with meteorologist Patrick Ellis. Let's talk about a new program here that's launched, putting resources for new moms and expectant mothers all in one place. The Mississippi Access to Maternal Assistance. It's an acronym, MAMA. It's live online right now. The website's designed to be a one-stop shop for both public and private resources, offering information about organizations that can help with pregnancy and healthcare needs.
I think it's going to be a game changer for them, because these young mothers or young mothers-to-be, to have that opportunity to really focus and go, here's what I need, and to be able to go there, click it on, figure out how I can connect and make that opportunity happen for them is going to be increasingly important for them to, again, look and see what the resources are.
All right, Mississippi Attorney General Lynn Fitch says there are still elements of the project that need work, like making child care more affordable, the more enforcement of child support payments as well. Arkansas Department of Transportation launching a new platform for the residents and visitors in the natural state. It's Ask RDOT. It's a new way for you to submit questions and comments about topics related to the state's highways and interstates, anything from construction details to potholes and more. All right, the Beach Boys making a stop in the Bluff City as part of their America's Band Tour. You probably know them from all kinds of hits over the decades. Surfing USA, California Girls, Wouldn't It Be Nice? Those are some of the big hits. Co-founder Mike Love sat down with us yesterday. He says he can't wait to visit friends and the band's favorite Mid-South areas.
Oh, we're all ready for Beale Street. We're all geared up. But anyway, we've been coming to Memphis for how many years now? I know we've done the Mud Island, we've done the Germantown, we've done, outside of town over in Tunica. We have some great friends going way back.
Yeah, when I talked to the Beach Boys, specifically Mike Love on the Digital Desk 2 years ago, he had some amazing stories about Elvis Presley and the Beach Boys and how they collaborated many years ago. Now, if you want to catch the Beach Boys live, they are performing tonight at the Orpheum Theater, beginning at 7:30. Let's talk about that new playground in Maryville. That's in East Tennessee, right outside of Knoxville. Edley Bird shows us it's a place where all parents and kids can play and have a peace of mind.
I'm here in Maryville at the grand opening for the John Sevier Inclusive Playground. Now, this playground is a very cool area, and it really is a place where all children can play.
Well, when our son was about 2 or 3 years old, he has Down syndrome, and he did our flag ceremony for us today. He is now 35, and he's an Eagle Scout. So we're very proud of him and all the development that he has done. But at his age, he couldn't do this. We didn't have a playground like this.
Kathy McGee knew all too well the feeling of watching your child miss out on things because of their disability.
So it was up to my husband and I to squeeze in between rungs of things or lift or carry or whatever. It was a workout for us.
She did her research on inclusive playgrounds and took her ideas to the city of Maryville to make a reality for all kids.
That's why we call it an inclusive playground. This is where everybody plays. So there are ramps for kids that have a hard time moving or they might be in a wheelchair. There are elements of musical chimes and things that they can do, so they're doing the sense of hearing. We have touchy-feely stuff, I call it, for sensory.
This is so fun! Phase 1 of the playground, which is for ages 5 to 12, was finished in fall of 2021. But Phase 2, the area for ages 2 to 5-year-olds, is now open. The playground has a rubber floor so it's safer in case kids fall, a fenced-in area for the parents' peace of mind, and a merry-go-all, a new version of a merry-go-round.
Spoke to physical therapists, occupational therapists, teachers, parents, grandparents, and said, what do you need so that it's inclusive and all kids can play?
Okay, a wish come true for a 15-year-old Tennessee girl who's going through a lot with her health. The Make-A-Wish Foundation was there to give the young girl what she's always wanted. Check this out. You're going to love this story. Forrest Sanders has more.
I have pictures everywhere. Slippers were given to me. That's a puzzle I did. I painted that picture with my sister. Just a lot of Highland stuff.
There's so much comfort for Briley Crutcher out here in Bethpage on her family's farm.
Been in our family for...
Briley's the 4th generation on this farm and the 6th generation in Asheville community.
And this community was ready with all the comfort they could give when Briley was delivered some difficult news.
She was diagnosed with malignant ovarian cancer. And I said, that's it. I said, armor of God on, the weapon is formed, but it won't prosper. And we're gonna get this done. And she's in remission.
And then when I was going through chemo, I got that one painted for me.
Throughout the journey, the people of Bethpage banded together, raising $72,000 for Briley. And the gifts weren't finished. You see, a little while before we met Briley, a lot of people started arriving at the family farm. Briley was taken out of school early, driving up to the house. It was clear there was a surprise waiting.
I was like, is that mine or did somebody's cow get over here? He's very cute. I named him Homer. Whenever I saw him, I was like, he just looks like a Homer.
Briley's always wanted to adopt a miniature Highland cow.
I was like, oh my gosh, those are so fuzzy and cute, and I want to cuddle one. And I was like, can I get one? And he said no.
But today, a partnership of Make-A-Wish Middle Tennessee and the Tractor Supply Foundation has brought Homer to Briley.
You gonna sleep in the bed with you?
I'm gonna need a ramp built.
Welcome home, Homer. You're gonna love it out here.
Very good day. I'm so overwhelmed with happiness right now.
Very sweet picture there and a great story. Let's take a quick break. Back in 60 seconds.
Thanks for joining us here on ActionNews5.com, as well as the Action News 5 digital properties, and also on Action News 5 digital channel 5.5. Of course, the weather looking pretty nice for us here today. Temperatures topping out in the lower 90s. Mostly sunny skies will give way to a few more clouds by the afternoon hours. Overall, a pretty quiet way to get through your Tuesday across the area, with temperatures again upper 80s and lower 90s. Clouds will gradually increase tonight ahead of our next weather maker. We won't see very much in the way of rain, but it will come to the back doorstep basically for Wednesday afternoon in eastern Arkansas. We'll get temperatures to the middle and upper 80s for your Wednesday, and then the rain chances will start to increase as we head into your Thursday. Of course, that will be Election Day, so some opportunities for rain look to be in play for your Election Day outings across the Mid-South. Don't let that deter you. Get out there and just bring an umbrella if you've got to go out to the polls on Thursday. Lunchtime, see the rain beginning to build off towards the east as the first front of two fronts makes its way through the region. The second front on its way, that will drop in here as we head into your Friday into Saturday. As of the early morning hours of Tuesday, we've got the Mississippi River levels coming up a little bit actually, but not for very much longer. This is actually the byproduct of some rain that we got last week over in northern portions of the Mississippi River Valley, the mid-Mississippi Valley, and through the Ohio River Valley. That's now starting to come downstream. Moving forward, though, it does look like there will be a downward trend yet again, and likely getting down closer to that record low level at some point in time as we head towards next week yet again. But we do at least get some localized rain opportunities. It's not out of the realm of possibility as we head towards the mid-portion of the week. You saw there with the Futurecast model. And behind that system, cooler air is going to be dropping southward direct from Canada. The Canadian Express dropping southward for the weekend, and that means our temperatures going from 10 degrees above average today to about 10 to 15 degrees below average by the time we head towards the upcoming weekend. Upon the 7-day forecast, 91 the forecast high. We will go to the middle and upper 80s for your Wednesday as clouds begin to thicken up. Chance for a couple of showers primarily over into eastern Arkansas, and that will spread eastward as we head towards your Election Day Thursday for the municipal elections here in Memphis. Working our way back to the 70s for highs both Thursday and Friday. Now, Friday will be a day where we'll be in a transition phase as we'll be in between systems. We'll be back and forth between clouds and sun. A rogue shower chance on the front side of the day. The second front drops in here Friday night. We'll go from lows in the 60s to lows in the 50s to lows in the 40s when you wake up early on Sunday morning heading out to church services. Will be a cool day, a brisk day on Saturday, especially. I think we'll have winds northerly about 10 to 20 miles per hour, so you're definitely going to notice the cooler air air filtering into the Mid-South. Temperatures will be in the 60s for highs in some of the cooler pockets north of town and low 70s elsewhere, and will eventually rebound back through the middle 70s by early next week. And eventually, it looks like our numbers do recover towards the upper 70s and lower 80s through the extended forecast that you can find on the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. You can download it in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store.
What you carry every day in your purse or your wallet could make you at risk for fraud. We have consumer investigator Rachel DePompa going over 5 things you should never carry on you.
It only takes a second for a pickpocket to grab your wallet. Purses are taken all of the time out of vehicles and grocery store carts, which is why the AARP is asking you to lighten your wallet to keep thieves from having instant access to your cash. The agency says there are 5 things you should never carry around with you. First and foremost, don't walk around with your Social Security card. And if you are a senior, leave your Medicare card at home when you don't need it. While Medicare cards no longer carry a person's Social Security number, the account information listed on it is still very valuable to thieves. Keep barely used credit cards out of your wallet, because if your wallet is ever stolen, you might not remember which cards were in it and forget to cancel them. If you have a password cheat sheet, don't ever carry it around with you. That's something you never want to lose. And lastly, don't carry blank checks. That's essentially as good as a thief having cash if they get a hold of your wallet. With this Watching Your Wallet, I'm Rachel DePompa.
This morning we're learning more about the future of policing in Shelby County after months after the death of Tyre Nichols. Some county commissioners in Shelby County tried to do the same thing that the Memphis City Council did, where they passed ordinances for preventing and keeping Memphis police from making traffic stops for minor offenses. Bria Bolden has more on that.
That item passes.
2 of 3 ordinances.
Item 17 passes.
Ask the Shelby County Sheriff's Office to collect data on traffic stops, arrests, use of force, citizen complaints, specialized units, and task forces. They were passed by Shelby County Commissioners Monday.
The item fails.
A third ordinance asking the Sheriff's Office to ban pretextual traffic stops for low-level offenses and use of unmarked vehicles failed 6-5. Commissioner Edmund Ford Jr. abstained from that vote. It needed 7 yes votes.
I'm not willing to abide by that request right now. I hope it's something that we can work through collectively. I mean, the county commission, and so do I, want to keep the public as safe as possible. And so I think if we work together, then we can find a way to maybe, help both sides.
Shelby County Sheriff and Memphis mayoral candidate Floyd Bonner said crime is too high to decide when deputies can make traffic stops. He also said the data involving how many of those stops are made is not available.
Pretextual traffic stops undermine trust between law enforcement and the community they claim to serve.
Every hour a deputy spends on improper display of registration is an hour they don't spend on speeding or DUIs, not to mention violent crimes.
More than a dozen speakers pulled cards to speak in favor or against the ordinances.
I believe we should vote no on any ordinance that scrutinizes police and deputies enforcing the law.
If our law enforcement act outside the bounds of the law, our justice system will take care of them. But let's not tie the hands of our sheriff's deputies because of a few bad apples in a different department.
Okay, Hollywood's striking actors in the entertainment industry's top studios are back on the table here. According to a statement from the Screen Actors Guild and the Trade Association, negotiations on behalf of the entertainment companies continue. Two groups reopen talks. Thousands of film and TV performers have been on the picket line since July 14th. They're holding out for a bigger cut of revenue generated by streaming shows, as well as increased base compensation and more. Renewed negotiations come on the trails of the Writers Guild reaching an agreement to end their strike last week. A woman is suing Walt Disney Parks, claiming a wedgie from a water slide sent her to the hospital. Emma McGinnis says she went down a slide that Disney describes as almost vertical 5-story fall. She claims that the attraction pushed her garments into her body, causing bleeding. She says she went to the hospital in an ambulance and then later sought bodily repairs. Her husband's suing as well, effectively claiming that the alleged harm to his wife's body is affecting him as well. All right, so this next story's got everything you need to warm your heart. An adorable family dog in Orlando is recovering after a traffic crash. The family says she would have died without care, which costs money. Michelle Meredith reports neighborhood kids pitched in with a lemonade stand. Check this out.
This is the story of Stevie, the golden retriever. It begins with heartbreak, Stevie struggling to survive, but ends with kids who have big hearts and come to Stevie's rescue in more ways than one. Now, Stevie lives in Orlando, her family's pride and joy.
She's really smart. She's very obedient, and she's just so cute.
But in mid-September, Stevie was hit by a motorcycle in front of her house. It happened when Marisol's daughter came home from work. Stevie ran out of the house, was near Marisol's daughter when a motorcyclist came by and hit Stevie and kept on going.
She called the dog, and the dog got up and walked towards her and collapsed. The motorcycle just left. And she was like, hey, you just hit my dog.
Stevie had a punctured lung, fractured ribs. It was touch and go. Spent 6 days in ICU, but the surgery worked.
They saved her life. They did. That doctor saved her life.
Meanwhile, back in the neighborhood, Stevie's fan club was working on a plan. The kids put together a good old-fashioned lemonade stand, but they upped the game by posting a QR code for any drive-by donations and sealed the deal with pictures of the adorable golden retriever wearing her trademark bandanas.
I felt really bad, so I wanted to help, and I told my mom about the idea, and she thought it was a good idea.
But mostly, like, some people just stopped and gave money just to help the cause of it was Stevie.
On Sunday, the kids presented Marisol with the money they raised, carefully stuffed in an envelope, $403.
So when they gave me this money and they came to my door, I just started crying.
And how is Stevie doing now? Well, she's on more prescription medicine you can count on one hand, but she's on the mend, feeling better and getting stronger every day with a little help from her friends. In Orange County, Michelle Meredith, WESH 2 News.
Apple says it's trying to fix some issues causing the iPhone 15 models to overheat. It says a bug in the iOS 17 could be part of the problem. Plan to address it with an update. Apple also says some third-party apps can cause overheating because they overload the system. Good news, the heat will not affect the long-term performance of the phones. That is according to Apple. Don't panic Wednesday when your smartphone lets out a loud screech. Federal government planning a nationwide test of the emergency alert system about 1:20 our time. Tests will include wireless emergency alerts in addition to TV and radio ads. You should also receive a text message saying it is only a test. Kids can find their own best friends when traveling to a Toys R Us when it gets creative for a comeback. The parent company says it plans to open locations at airports and on cruise ships. First one set to open at Dallas-Fort Worth next month. It also intends to have 24 new flagship stores operational for the 2024 holiday season. The new locations add to existing shops at some of the Macy's stores. It's giving Toys R Us new life after it shut down all locations back in 2018. A gem for Memphis, Mid-South, the Bluff City, and beyond. We're talking about the Overton Park Shell. They've had an amazing season of concerts. It continues this weekend. I'm joined by Executive Director Natalie Wilson on the Action News 5 digital desk. Natalie, good morning to you. How's the season been going? From our vantage point, it's been amazing. How about yours?
Good morning. It has been an amazing 2023 here at the Shell, and it continues this weekend for more music. I tell you, just like you said, it is the crown jewel of our city. It sits here in Midtown, but the Shell reaches throughout our community and brings us together through the power of music. And I'm telling you, to see new friends, family members on the lawn, it's a joy for our entire team.
I agree with you. Every time my wife and I head out to the Shell, it is always an amazing night, you know, and you can bring food, you can bring drinks, you can have a great time, but it's the music that really just brings all corners of Memphis together. I love it. So tell me about this weekend. It's some big concerts this weekend.
Agree. Friday night is the end of the Orion Free Concert Series, our fall season with Morgan James. She's an amazing singer-songwriter. She is not to be missed. And then Saturday night is the final night, the final fundraising event of our Shell Yeah Benefit Concert Series with Drive-By Truckers. And they are a huge national hit throughout, and a real interest in the Memphis market. They have a legacy band that have traveled, and all of them have had a huge career. Many of them, of course, with Jason Isbell, and now they're on their own, and they travel the country, and we are so excited to bring them to our historic stage.
Yeah, they're fantastic. I know them. I've been fortunate to see them, and it's going to be great. That's a great lineup Friday and Saturday nights. So tell us about is it Saturday's show? That's the fundraiser. Tell me more about that.
Yes. So when people purchase a ticket for our Shell Yeah Benefit Concert Series, it truly powers the mission of the Shell, keeping what we do free. So we usually do 4 to 5 of our Shell Yeah benefits a year. And so we ask people when they purchase a ticket, we designate all of those resources to powering our mission. So you can buy your tickets in advance at Ticketmaster.com or at the gate. You can just walk up to the Shell and buy your tickets, and every dollar makes such a difference here at the Shell.
And we're not talking about like super hot temperatures either. It's going to be a little bit cooler this weekend. That'll be nice, a nice change of pace.
Well, even in the midst of the heat, the Shell is magic. But when it's cool, it is something about sitting on that lawn, bundled up with a blanket, the stars over you, and see the magic, beautiful lights of the Shell. It's something very special. And, 87 years we're here as a historic space in our city. And I just think that any way we can activate it, bring us together, we need the Shell even more.
No question about it. So positive and bringing people together. Tell me briefly, what has it been like to have the mobile aspects to Overton Park Shell this year?
Yes. So the vision of making Shell on Wheels possible started in 2019 when we had, people for 10 years had come to the Shell, but many resources and many people were never able to come to the Shell. We sit in an affluent neighborhood here in Midtown. We have no parking lot here in Overton Park. And so people have access issues to come to us. So we, as the board and our team, started a vision. What would it take to create a complete mobile replica of the Overton Park Shell on wheels and take it throughout every part of our community, Memphis and Shelby County first, the region, and that we could do exactly what we do here anywhere, a blighted area, a neighborhood, a field. We could go to anyone and create the magic we do here, building community through music.
Fantastic. So once again, I want to let everybody know about Morgan James. The concert is on Friday, and then the big concert, Drive-By Truckers, on Saturday at the Shell. Anything else you want to mention before we let you go, Natalie?
Just how much we value our community, how thankful we are for everyone who supports us, and that we want new community members who have never experienced the Shell, come to us, give us a try. You will never forget it.
I wholeheartedly agree. Executive Director of Overton Park Shell, Natalie Wilson, We appreciate everything you and your staff does throughout the year to bring music to all corners of Memphis at the Overton Park Shell. Thanks so much for joining us on the Digital Desk.
Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. Andrew Douglas in the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We have talked a lot on the Digital Desk about the financial literacy of young people, specifically of teens, and how that there is a lack of understanding when it comes to money. All aspects of it, investing, budgeting, everything. In fact, there is a new Fidelity study out there that says teens do see investing in their future, but they're not really investing right now because they think they're too young. Well, most analysts would disagree with that assessment. But let's talk a little bit about why teens and young people are a little bit skewed when it comes to investing, and what can parents and others do to help teens get back on the right track. I'm joined now by Kelly Lannon. She is the Senior Vice President of Emerging Customers at Fidelity Investments. Kelly, good morning to you. Can you share a little bit more about that study where teens were, I guess kind of weighing in on their thinking about money and investing? Good morning.
Good morning, Andrew. I love how you're so passionate about this topic, and I am too. And the good news is that today's teens are already thinking about money and how investing can help set them up for future financial success. Fidelity's 2023 Teens and Money study found that nearly 1 in 4 teens, they've already started investing, and most teens who haven't, they plan to do so in the future. Teens are also already earning income through allowance, gifts, and working. So yeah, those teens are starting to make those money moves, and they're earning the money, they're thinking about investing. And as a result, it's really important to ensure they have access to financial education and tools to help them continue to make the most out of their money.
Yeah, education is key, and we've talked a lot about it. I have 2 teenagers, older teenagers, that complain to me that their high school never taught them real investing sense and money and how to budget and that sort of thing. So if there are parents watching, and we have thousands of people that watch us each and every morning here, what would you say if there was like a checklist, maybe 2 or 3 different things that parents can do today or this week to help their teen understand money better?
Yeah, and this is a great question because honestly, parents play a big role in this conversation, and they have the opportunity to be financial role models for their kids. And teens tell us that the best way to learn about investing is really from their families. And Andrew, I think your kids think that too, even though they don't always show it. So for all the other parents out there, you might be wondering how. And so I actually have 3 suggestions for you. Okay, number 1, first, have that conversation about investing. Have those money conversations. Talk to your teen about what investing is, why it's important, and more importantly, how they can start. And on the topic of starting, you have to help them get access to the tools and educations they need to begin that investing journey. For example, the Fidelity Youth app. With the Fidelity Youth app, teens ages 13 through 17 can save, spend, and invest their own money, of course, with parental oversight, and they can start with as little as $1. They have access to a debit card, they can earn money, and there's a ton of education in the app as well. And finally, and I know this can be a tough one for parents, let them make some money decisions on their own. Of course, be there to help them with the questions, but the best way to learn, I think we can all agree, is really through doing. So help your teen build their confidence to start making some of these decisions and maybe some of those mistakes on their own.
So I got both kids in college right now, and I'm trying to get them a better sense, a greater sense of how to budget and money and investing. Is there a gender gap in play here? Because I have a girl and a boy, and there are definitely differences in how they relate to money.
Okay, so well, as a mother of two very young girls, you know, this is something I'm personally passionate about. And the gender gap, it begins early. And our study found that teen boys are more likely than teen girls to report positive thoughts, you know, feeling eager, well-informed when they think about financial topics. And, you know, I don't know if you found this with your two kids, Andrew, but our previous studies have also indicated that parents talk about money and how to invest with their sons earlier and more often than with their daughters. So that's what's so important for parents to be talking to all of their children about both money and investing.
We know that there is so much that relies these days on a credit report, a credit rating. How do we introduce that idea of credit with our children? That's a good way, an effective way, and something that's productive and positive.
Yeah, so I go back to one of my first tips for parents out there. You have to have those money conversations. If you are making a big purchase, for example, you're in the store with your kid and you're about to use your credit card, use that as an opportunity to start that money conversation. You know, one of the best pieces of advice that I got from my parents is always continue to treat your credit card like it's a debit card, meaning never put more on that card than you physically have in the bank. And Andrew, I carry that advice with me today. So if that's also something that can help the parents out there who are listening, please feel free to use it.
Yeah, that's great, Kelly. What about the common myths that teens have about investing?
Yeah, so I think there's a few. You know, the first, I think we already saw it through the study. You know, they think they're too young. Well, guess what? It's never too early to get started. And with the Fidelity Youth app, you can get started at 13-year-olds, investing on your own. I think the second myth we hear is that you need to have a lot of money to invest. Again, not true. You can get started with as little as $1. And the third thing we say is this teens are associated with risk. Again, talking to your parents, working with them, educating yourself. You can really protect yourself from risk by making informed, educated decisions when you're getting started with investing as well.
This is great, Kelly. Anything else you'd like to mention before we let you go? This is a great, really great resource for everybody watching.
Yeah, and so I'm so glad you asked. I'm so glad you think that. And for everyone out there, go to the App Store right now. I'm kidding, but seriously, check it out. Download the Fidelity Youth app or visit fidelity.com/youth to learn more.
Kelly Lannon, Senior Vice President of Emerging Customers with Fidelity. Really appreciate your time. Thank you for the deep download on an important conversation. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Andrew. Have a good one.
Thanks for joining us here on ActionNews5.com, as well as the Action News 5 digital properties, and also on Action News 5 digital channel 5.5. Of course, the weather looking pretty nice for us here today. Temperatures topping out in the lower 90s. Mostly sunny skies will give way to a few more clouds by the afternoon hours. Overall, a pretty quiet way to get through your Tuesday across the area, with temperatures again upper 80s and lower 90s. Clouds will gradually increase tonight ahead of our next weather maker. We won't see very much in the way of rain, but it will come to the back doorstep basically for Wednesday afternoon in eastern Arkansas. We'll get temperatures to the middle and upper 80s for your Wednesday, and then the rain chances will start to increase as we head into your Thursday. Of course, that will be Election Day, so some opportunities for rain look to be in play for your Election Day outings across the Mid-South. Don't let that deter you. Get out there and just bring an umbrella if you've got to go out to the polls on Thursday. Lunchtime, see the rain beginning to build off towards the east as the first front of two fronts makes its way through the region. The second front on its way, that will drop in here as we head into your Friday into Saturday. As of the early morning hours of Tuesday, we've got the Mississippi River levels coming up a little bit actually, but not for very much longer. This is actually the byproduct of some rain that we got last week over in northern portions of the Mississippi River Valley, the mid-Mississippi Valley, and through the Ohio River Valley. That's now starting to come downstream. Moving forward, though, it does look like there will be a downward trend yet again, and likely getting down closer to that record low level at some point in time as we head towards next week yet again. But we do at least get some localized rain opportunities. It's not out of the realm of possibility as we head towards the mid-portion of the week. You saw there with the Futurecast model. And behind that system, cooler air is going to be dropping southward direct from Canada. The Canadian Express dropping southward for the weekend, and that means our temperatures going from 10 degrees above average today to about 10 to 15 degrees below average by the time we head towards the upcoming weekend. Upon the 7-day forecast, 91 the forecast high. We will go to the middle and upper 80s for your Wednesday as clouds begin to thicken up. Chance for a couple of showers primarily over into eastern Arkansas. That will spread eastward as we head towards your Election Day Thursday for the municipal elections here in Memphis. Working our way back to the 70s for highs both Thursday and Friday. Now, Friday will be a day where we'll be in a transition phase as we'll be in between systems. We'll be back and forth between clouds and sun. A rogue shower chance on the front side of the day. The second front drops in here Friday night. We'll go from lows in the 60s to lows in the 50s to lows in the 40s when you wake up early on Sunday morning heading out to church services. Will be a cool day, a brisk day on Saturday, especially. I think we'll have winds northerly about 10 to 20 miles per hour. So you're definitely going to notice the cooler air filtering into the Mid-South. Temperatures will be in the 60s for highs in some of the cooler pockets north of town and low 70s elsewhere, and we'll eventually rebound back through the middle 70s by early next week. And eventually, it looks like our numbers do recover towards the upper 70s and lower 80s through the extended forecast that you can find on the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. You can download it in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store.
Good morning. Welcome back. 74 degrees, 9:33 is the time on a Tuesday. Beautiful shot there from our High Five camera. You can see the skyline in downtown Memphis there off in the distance. We'll be talking more about our forecast coming up in just a few minutes. One of the subjects that we talked about for our Best Life report today had to deal with breastfeeding, and it's pretty common, pretty well known how much breastfeeding can help the baby and all the health benefits. But we focused on how the mother's benefits can be greatly enhanced through breastfeeding. It was the subject of this morning's Best Life report. Take a look.
You've probably heard about the benefits of breastfeeding for babies, but what about for moms? A new study out of Yale adds to the growing research showing breastfeeding may prevent diabetes in moms. Scientists compared mice that nursed and those that did not, and they found that the mice that did not lactate had fewer insulin-producing cells in their pancreas, which could lead to a higher risk for type 2 diabetes. Other research has shown mothers who breastfeed have a lower chance of developing breast cancer, ovarian cancer, osteoporosis, high blood pressure, arthritis, and postpartum depression.
It's the most natural thing that you can do for your child. It's the healthiest choice that you can make for your child and for the mom.
Breastfeeding also produces oxytocin, which helps a woman's uterus contract to its pre-pregnancy size, and it can burn calories around 500 to 700 a day. As for diabetic mothers,
actually helps you lose weight and keep the diabetes in check.
the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends exclusive breastfeeding for about 6 months and then as a supplement to food until children are 12 months or older.
All right, we're getting a behind-the-look new tour of the history of the Orpheum Theater. During segregation, the Orpheum's black-only entrance was the only way African Americans could get inside. Now the Orpheum is sharing that history with its vendors. Bria Bolden has this update.
As a young girl, Elaine Lee Turner remembers walking through the doors of the Orpheum Theater, known as the Malco Theater, in 1940 to 1976.
In order to go to those movie theaters, we had to come in the colored entrance, such as the entrance right here. It was dehumanizing. You know, we had to come in the side door, climb up the stairs, all the way up to the balcony, and sit there. And that's the only place where we could sit.
Like the world around it, the theater and its patrons, white and black, experienced the realities of Jim Crow, including separate seats and a separate entrance for black Memphians like Elaine.
Later on, we found out there was something that we could do about it, and that was to protest and to sit in at the movie theaters or the restaurants and the lunch counters and all of that. And that's what we did.
That separation was legal until the passage of the Civil Rights Act in 1964. 59 years later, that small space in history on Main and Beale Street went unseen by the public until now.
I thought anyone who sees the lobby that white patrons used and then see this lobby will understand immediately the inequality of the two lobbies.
It's been on the mind of the Orpheum Theater Group president and CEO Brett Batterson since 2016, the Balcony Project. It's a partnership with the National Civil Rights Museum, a painful part of our past, told with the help of Dr. Charles McKinney, a civil rights movement historian and professor at Rhodes College.
This isn't a story about a set of victims. This is a story about people who were navigating the realities of the nation in which they lived.
The immersive experience includes documentary-style videos with volunteers and patrons like Elaine, giving a new look at Memphis history.
This is a step in the right direction of showing its total history. We can't hide any of our past. We can grow from it. And if we don't use it to grow from it, we will be stagnant.
We are celebrating a Memphis barbecue queen this morning. She's one of 2 Memphians inducted into the American Royal Barbecue Hall of Fame this week. In that other barbecue capital, Kansas City, Miss Flora Payne, the owner of Payne's Barbecue in Midtown, being honored here. Kim Clark has more in this 5-star story.
It's not unusual to see constant traffic in and out of this nondescript cinder block building on Lamar Avenue.
I would say we go through maybe 7 whole shoulders a day.
And sometimes, according to Payne's barbecue co-owner Ronald Payne, even that's not enough to feed all the hungry customers who show up for their world-famous and award-winning queue.
The pork and ribs, we're selling out and having to close up doors early because we can only cook so much every day. So,
topped with Payne's tangy mustard-based coleslaw, a family recipe, this sandwich is notorious.
Definitely our chopped pork sandwich is the biggest seller. That's what we're, famous for. We put a lot of love into what we do and we make everything fresh.
Ronald says the secret to Payne's brand of deliciousness is all in their pit.
It's the preparation, the cooking, the time. It could be time consuming, but if you want the perfect flavor, it's gonna take some time to smoke it. So we say slow and low. We do charcoal, straight charcoal, and our pit is so old that I think it holds a lot of smoke and flavors.
Payne's restaurant was the dream of Horton Payne, Ronald's father.
And he started in 1972, 2 years after him and my mom married, and also the same year they had the first child, my sister. And it was my father, mother, and grandmother.
But when Horton died, 8 years after moving into the restaurant's current location, the dream lived on.
And he left us in '84, and my mom carried the torch, and along with my grandmother.
Ronald's mother, Flora, is still an important part of the restaurant business.
She's one of the only women in barbecue. She taught and still is teaching me everything I know about cooking barbecue, and she didn't have to do it, but she did it. She's just amazing woman.
And since Payne's is, first and foremost, a family business, Ronald's sister, Candace, has an important role as well.
Working with your family and having a legacy and something that you know is there for you and was made for you. I think my parents had my sister and I in mind when they started a business.
And what Ron and his family have in mind for their customers is satisfaction.
We hope that they're gonna go and tell a friend, and a friend will tell a friend, and that's how it's been. And we've always survived off of word of mouth. I always think about my dad's vision. When he first opened, somebody told him he wouldn't survive a year, and we're here 51 years later.
Payne's Barbecue, making us proud they've called the Mid-South home for more than 50 years. Kim Clark, Action News 5.
Let's talk about the rise of hepatitis C and the opioid epidemic. It is certainly a concern for so many, and especially now. It is National Recovery Month. Hepatitis C is becoming known as the silent disease. It often goes undetected until serious health issues occur, including liver damage, failure, cancer, and it's also known, hepatitis C is known as HCV. Let's bring in two experts to talk more about this issue right now. I'm joined by Dr. Ada Stewart, a family physician, and Devin Lyle, Executive Director of a National Recovery Community Organization. Good morning, ladies, to you both. I want to start with you, Devin. Tell us about your story and the work you do in your community. Good morning.
Good morning. So yes, my name is Devin Lyle, and I am an individual who has had my own journey through addiction into recovery and diagnosed with hepatitis C and then cured. And so that's what really brings me to this conversation and brings the passion behind having this conversation around drug use and hepatitis C. I became addicted to opioids after a ski injury where I had multiple surgeries and was prescribed pain medication. Eventually, I ended up abusing those medications and becoming addicted and becoming an IV drug user. And so that put me at high risk for acquiring hepatitis C, which I was not aware of until I had entered into treatment and had been tested. And so that is what really influences the work that I do today as the executive director of a recovery community organization, Wilkes Recovery Revolution, here in North Carolina. And so our main goal is to restore hope, repair lives, and rebuild community, and share our lived experience with people who are also suffering with substance use, so that we can carry a message of hope and play a critical role in this reducing hepatitis C transmission.
Devin, thank you so much for opening up about your story to us. It can, no question, help others out there, family members, and perhaps people who are struggling right now with opioids and hepatitis C. Dr. Stewart, over to you. Can you tell us a little bit more about hepatitis C?
Yes, good morning, and thank you so much for having us. You know, it's important, as you mentioned, it is a silent disease, and that many individuals do not have signs or symptoms of it until complications arise, such as liver failure, liver cancer, cirrhosis of the liver, and sometimes even death. It is a blood-borne virus. It is transmitted through the blood, and so that's why it's important at this time to recognize the relationship between IV drug use and hepatitis C. You know, the numbers of hepatitis C now have doubled over the past 10 years because of the opioid epidemic, as well as, you know, what we saw with COVID, with individuals not being screened. It is curable. The cures from the available medications that we have available to us is 95%. So it's important to get screened, to get tested, and if you find that you have hepatitis C, get linked into care and find out what available options you have for yourself.
I appreciate that, Dr. Stewart. Devin, over to you. I want to ask about what you are seeing as an executive director of a recovery community organization in North Carolina. What do you see as some of the biggest challenges for people when they try to go through this recovery process?
So I think it's really important that we are meeting individuals where they are at in their journey and allowing them to self-direct that pathway forward. Our organization has created what we call our recovery ecosystem. So we offer a range of programming from our recovery community center, transitional housing, and then our harm reduction services, which I think are some of the most impactful services to really combat this transmission of hepatitis C. And so part of what we do is offer safer use supplies. We offer naloxone, trainings, safer use counseling to really educate individuals who are using drugs on ways to get tested, ways to get treated. We encourage everyone that comes through our recovery center, regardless of where they're at in their journey, to get tested. We actually integrated testing into our recovery community center. And so I think that if we really take this all-encompassing approach and create this ecosystem where individuals are not falling through the cracks, that we're really going to reverse these adverse effects of substance use and in return, hopefully see people entering into recovery. My lived experience has shown me that people do get well when given the opportunity and resources to do so.
Dr. Stewart, from a clinical perspective, where are you seeing the biggest challenges when treating hepatitis C?
You know, the biggest challenge is, number one, is to have that awareness, to recognize that everyone, and the CDC recommends that every individual, every adult has a lifetime, at least once, one test for hepatitis C within their lifetime. For those individuals who are at increased risk, then we need to screen them more often. Again, it's all about awareness. We cannot get individuals cured if we don't get them screened and tested and find those available options for treatment for those individuals. If we can treat and cure one individual who is living with addiction, who has IV drug use and has hepatitis C, then we can impact and decrease 20 other individuals from being impacted by hepatitis C. So it's important to recognize that it is multifactorial. There are various issues, and Devin truly alluded to those. We have to make sure that everyone is aware that they need to get screened and they need to avail themselves of the available treatment options that are out there.
Ladies, I open this up to you. We have thousands of people who join us each and every morning on the digital desk. If they are watching right now and they're concerned about themselves or perhaps a family member, a loved one, where can they go for more information about this and what can they do?
They can definitely go to hepview.org, and that's HEP. V as in Victor, U as in under.org to get more information. And Devin, I would love to hear your response to this as well.
Yes, so there are recovery community organizations like ours around the nation that are helping carry this message and offer testing. And so I would encourage you to find out where your recovery community organizations are in your community, find out where your harm reduction programs are within your communities, so that if you want to be screened, you can do that. Most of those places will offer you screening, and then they'll provide the support to connect you to the resources for treatment. And always talk to your providers or your primary care doctors. Have these conversations with them, because they're going to be your best outlet for knowing what your treatment options are and really being able to explain hepatitis C to you. So again, you can always visit hepview.org, like Dr. Stewart shared, or reach out to places within your community who may have some answers too, because I believe that connection is what is going to solve the opioid epidemic.
Devin Lyle and Dr. Ada Stewart, we really appreciate this conversation. Thank you so much for everything that you're talking about here. It's very beneficial to us and everyone across Memphis and the Mid-South. We appreciate it. Welcome back to the Action News 5 digital desk. Take a look here. This is a mural of the Memphis 13 Foundation. It's partnered with the Memphis Shelby County School District and Gordon Elementary to reveal this mural. It's dedicated to the Gordon Four, Sharon Malone, Sheila Malone Conway, Pamela Mays, and Alan Freeman, who were pioneers in the school's desegregation, community leaders, elected leaders, and the Memphis members of the Memphis Shelby County School District were in attendance here. This is brand new video coming into the Action News 5 newsroom and the digital desk. It aims to honor the bravery and contributions of the Gordon Four and overall members of the Memphis 13 who played a crucial role in the history of desegregation in Memphis, Tennessee schools. The mural serves as a lasting tribute to their courage and their ongoing fight for education equity. All right, in Tennessee, nearly 90,000 children could be without daycare, apparently due to the pandemic money drying up. The funding expired over the weekend. The extra money was a source of revenue for some child care providers. One report says 1,200 programs may close.
What you'll see with the end of these subsidy dollars is providers are going to have to raise rates on families. They may have to cut services. So it's going to be a really challenging time in a very challenging environment. I know for our family, the waiting list was, 8 to 10 months when we had our daughter. And so that's a real challenge for families.
Fewer kids in daycare could also mean more parents staying at home with them. New study finds that there's a big disparity between what women and men pay for out of pocket in terms of health care. Study found insurance companies cover less services for women compared to men. Breast cancer screenings often cost more than other types of cancer screenings. Separate report published by the Susan G. Komen organization finds the high cost of treatment for breast cancer is such a burden, maybe costing women their health, and studies show financial burdens are worse for women of color, younger women, and women who are not married, and those who live on a limited income. The Arkansas Department of Transportation launching a new platform for residents and visitors in the state. Ask RDOT. It's a streamlined way for the public to submit questions and comments and communicate with the department about topics pertaining to the state's highways and interstates, anything from construction project details to potholes and more. The goal of the platform is to ensure citizens that they have a customer service experience that's easy, thorough, and timely. Ask RDOT can be accessed by going to the department's website. A new kind of blackmail is affecting young adults and teens. It's called sextortion, where adults threaten to share sexually explicit images of young people, and the effects can be devastating. We have investigative reporter Carice Jackman examining how these criminals are preying on women, and we want to warn you, some of what you're about to hear is graphic.
I certainly never thought in a million years that this could happen to me. My family certainly never did. When it comes to a story like mine, there are a lot of dark details.
As one of the very first known victims of internet child exploitation, Alicia Kozak is passionate about protecting kids from dangers online. And an emerging threat she worries about now is something called sextortion.
A predator can hold a child captive long before they ever have their hands physically on them. And when it comes to sextortion, they never need to physically touch that child.
Alicia's personal story to advocacy began in 2002 when she was just 13 years old. Like so many teenagers, she loved chatting with friends, especially on the internet.
I was online and I was talking to my friends from school in a chat room, and somebody messaged me who I thought was a boy around my own age. And what I didn't know was he had immediately begun to groom me.
Because the internet was pretty new, Alicia didn't know the red flags. She says a man lured her out of her Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania home and abducted her outside. The man held her captive in his Virginia basement, where she was raped, beaten, and tortured.
How long were you there for? It was 4 days, and he was going to kill me, it's believed, on the day that I was rescued.
Alicia says her kidnapper live streamed the abuse to an online audience. She said she was given a second chance when someone watching the stream recognized her face from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children's poster and called in a tip to authorities. Her kidnapper was ultimately convicted and sentenced to prison.
And we start tonight with a warning about sextortion.
Since Alicia's abduction, internet crimes against children have skyrocketed.
And these criminals are continuing to extort the teenagers until a lot of them end up committing suicide.
Kids have so much more access. There's so many more pitfalls, but also predators have access to kids 24/7.
And as technology continues to evolve, so does the way predators lure kids in what law enforcement calls sextortion. Law enforcement says the cyber criminals start off pretending to be somebody else, most likely a teen. Once they gain a person's trust, they ask for explicit photos. With the photos in their possession, the criminal demands money, threatening to release the images if the teen doesn't keep sending more photos or hand over money or gift cards.
With financial sextortion, the primary motive is financial gain, and the victim set is typically boys.
Supervisory Special Agent Timothy Simon with the FBI says in early 2022, their agency saw an explosion in the number of financial sextortion incidents.
When it comes to how these crooks or these criminals are getting to our children, how savvy are they when it comes to getting them and taking advantage of them?
Unfortunately, they are very savvy. They often impersonate children of a similar age, characteristics, and location. They will locate children, they'll target them on any type of platform, social media, instant messaging, video chat, gaming platforms, pretty much any internet-capable device that a child has, they can be targeted on.
Simon says law enforcement received over 7,000 reports over the past year of online financial sextortion of minors, with at least 3,000 victims, most of them boys.
In 2022 alone, over 12 suicides of child victims within the U.S., and that number has increased since then.
Why is it different that we're seeing so many, I guess, suicides or pressure being put on our boys and most, say, our young girls?
That's a great question. We're still trying to figure that out. Our best guess at this point is just the shame and embarrassment that boys feel when they produce those images.
But we've learned a major hurdle in tackling this crime is location. Many sextortion cybercriminals are overseas. Officials with the FBI and Homeland Security say most of these sextortion perpetrators originate from Nigeria and the Ivory Coast.
For parents who sadly may have lost their child to sextortion, and they're wondering, why can't the FBI just go in there? Why can't they just get them? You know, this is one of the biggest law enforcement agencies in the world. How difficult is it for you to just go in there and nab some of these criminals?
It's not an easy solution for the FBI just to go into other countries and to take down offenders. We are working hard to do that, but as much power or authority as the FBI may have, we don't have jurisdiction or authority in countries around the world. And that's where our relationships and our partnerships with the host nation law enforcement and their government officials plays a really big role.
Kevin Metcalf is a deputy prosecuting attorney in Arkansas. He's also the CEO and founder of the National Child Protection Task Force. They provide detectives, analysts, and officers, both locally and regionally, access to investigative expertise and resources that sometimes are unavailable or underfunded in most law enforcement organizations.
The law is very slow to adapt to any kind of social changes, any technology. It's very, very slow. So everybody was trying to stay away from that. It was a super gray area, so I thought, that's where I'll go.
Metcalf says part of the problem, on top of bringing these international criminals to justice, is the amount of oversharing done by people on social media.
Once your images are out there, they're not yours anymore. You don't control them. You don't know how many times they've been downloaded, how many times they've been shared. You don't know how many of them there are that exist out here.
To show us how easy it is to find your information without you realizing it, Metcalf shared with us some of the websites cybercriminals use to track information. To test it out, he looked for my personal information online.
Oh, wow. That's my stuff and my family. It's my mom's email, my deceased father.
In other words, they do their homework on you.
Your email addresses, passwords, phone numbers, usernames, physical address, so all this, license plates.
Metcalf says even if you store images on a Google Cloud and think it's safe, you still run the risk of being compromised or hacked, which is why you need to have multiple passwords on all of your accounts and update them regularly. As for Alicia, she continues to work to protect others, sharing her story to kids at schools across the country.
Support the children. Save us from pedophiles, the pornographers, the monsters. The boogeyman is real, and he lives on the net.
She's testified before Congress and helped push for Alicia's Law, which helps secure funding for task forces and is currently in 12 states.
We have to fund the groups that can protect and rescue the children. The Internet Crimes Against Children task forces are so incredibly underfunded, and the risk is with every single child, and every single child has a device, if not more devices, that they can fall victim on.
For Investigate TV, I'm Carice Jackman.
Thanks for joining us here on ActionNews5.com, as well as the Action News 5 digital properties, and also on ActionNews5 Digital Channel 5.5. Of course, the weather looking pretty nice for us here today. Temperatures topping out in the lower 90s. Mostly sunny skies will give way to a few more clouds by the afternoon hours. Overall, a pretty quiet way to get through your Tuesday across the area with temperatures again upper 80s and lower 90s. Clouds will gradually increase tonight ahead of our next weather maker. We won't see very much in the way of rain, but it will come to the back doorstep basically for Wednesday afternoon in eastern Arkansas. We'll get temperatures to the middle and upper 80s for your Wednesday, and then the rain chances will start to increase as we head into your Thursday. Of course, that will be election day, so some opportunities for rain look to be in play for your election day outings across the Mid-South. Don't let that deter you. Get out there and just bring an umbrella if you've got to go out to the polls on Thursday. Lunchtime, see the rain beginning to build off towards the east as the first front of two fronts makes its way through the region. The second front on its way, that will drop in here as we head into your Friday into Saturday. As of the early morning hours of Tuesday, we've got the Mississippi River levels coming up a little bit actually, but not for very much longer. This is actually the byproduct of some rain that we got last week over in northern portions of the Mississippi River Valley, the mid-Mississippi Valley, and through the Ohio River Valley. That's now starting to come downstream. Moving forward, though, it does look like there will be a downward trend yet again and likely getting down closer to that record low level at some point in time as we head towards next week yet again. But we do at least get some localized rain opportunities. It's not out of the realm of possibility as we head towards the mid-portion of the week. You saw there with the Futurecast model. And behind that system, cooler air is going to be dropping southward direct from Canada. The Canadian Express dropping southward for the weekend, and that means our temperatures going from 10 degrees above average today to about 10 to 15 degrees below average by the time we head towards the upcoming weekend. Upon the 7-day forecast, 91 the forecast high. We will go to the middle and upper 80s for your Wednesday as clouds begin to thicken up. Chance for a couple of showers primarily over into eastern Arkansas. That will spread eastward as we head towards your election day Thursday for the municipal elections here in Memphis. Working our way back to the 70s for highs both Thursday and Friday. Now, Friday will be a day where we'll be in a transition phase as we'll be in between systems. We'll be back and forth between clouds and sun. A rogue shower chance on the front side of the day. The second front drops in here Friday night. We'll go from lows in the 60s to lows in the 50s to lows in the 40s when you wake up early on Sunday morning heading out to church services. Will be a cool day, a brisk day on Saturday, especially. I think we'll have winds northerly about 10 to 20 miles per hour. So you're definitely going to notice the cooler air filtering into the Mid-South. Temperatures will be in the 60s for highs in some of the cooler pockets north of town and low 70s elsewhere, and we'll eventually rebound back through the middle 70s by early next week. And eventually, it looks like our numbers do recover towards the upper 70s and lower 80s through the extended forecast that you can find on the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. You can download it in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store.
Good morning, everyone. Andrew Douglas here in the Action News 5 digital desk. The Choose Kindness Project is unveiling some groundbreaking resources for parents, educators, and coaches to combat bullying and support youth mental health. I'm joined now by Dr. Yelda Oels. She's a PhD child psychologist, author, and founder of the Center of Scholars and Storytellers at UCLA. Good morning, Dr. Oels. Let's talk a little bit about this project and why it was established.
Thank you, Andrew. Well, this project, the ChooseKindnessProject.org, was established in order to combat bullying and to support youth mental health. It is an alliance of the nation's largest organizations that work on bullying prevention, intentional inclusion, and ultimately, as I said, to combat the mental health crisis that our adolescents are dealing with today.
Gotcha. So tell us about the alarming statistics on the prevalence of bullying right now. And, you know, there's no surprise that it impacts mental health for our youth.
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, the statistics are a little bit all over the place, but the most recent statistics that we conducted is we found that 1/3 of adolescents report that they have been bullied. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more, depending on the way it's defined. But one of the things that's even more alarming is that while many adolescents say they've been bullied, very few report that they talk to an adult about it.
So the Choose Kindness Project developed some resources at all this, and in response to these findings, tell me about the parent playbook and the educator and coach toolkit.
So these are resources that are free on the site. We developed the parenting playbook at the Center for Scholars and Storytellers at UCLA. And what we did is we took the amazing resources from all of these incredible organizations that are part of Choose Kindness, and we put them together in one easy package. We have 3 different playbooks. One is for adults, caring adults in a child's life who have a child who's been bullied, and there are talking points, ways you can bring this up with your child. We have ways you can talk to the teachers, the schools about it. We also have a playbook for parents whose child is a bully. And then we have playbooks for parents who maybe haven't had to deal with this issue, but they want to teach their child to be kind, compassionate, inclusionary, and be sort of proactive about it. There's also educator kits and coaching kits. And if a parent and a teacher or a coach work together, that's going to have the most positive outcomes for our youth.
Where can we go to get these resources?
They're all free on the ChooseKindnessProject.org.
Okay, Dr. Yelda Oulds, thank you so much for joining us on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. A great resource for Bullying Prevention Month. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, and you can download them anytime.
Did you pay attention to any of the media day storylines coming out yesterday? The Memphis Grizzlies, they talked about the team, the new additions, the upcoming season, and the latest with Ja Morant. Matt Infield was there and brings us these details.
Well, at long last, we got the answers we were looking for as far as what Ja Morant's suspension will look like. For the first 25 games of the season, the Grizzlies franchise centerpiece will be able to practice and travel with the team, a big boost for the Beale Street Bears.
I think it's so important that he's with us. I mean, he's so important to our team, and obviously I know he's going to be out of gameplay, but being fully immersed in our team environment, you know, practices, shoot-arounds in the locker room, obviously traveling, it's huge.
Along those lines, 2 of the newest Grizzlies, former Tiger star Derrick Rose and Marcus Smart, have said they're here to make Ja better, not be a babysitter.
I'm not here to follow you around. I'm not here to cheerlead. I'm here to push you. I'm very fortunate to be in a situation where a lot of people look at his game and they kind of compare our games together, but he's on a whole nother level.
I think what Derrick said was perfect. You know, we're not here to babysit anybody. You know, and I don't think anybody expected us coming here to do that. But we are coming in here to push one another and make each other great.
And for those wondering about Steven Adams and that lingering knee injury, he says he's in a good spot, but not quite game ready yet.
It won't be responsible, it'll be irresponsible for me to say like that I'm ready to go right now. Because there's again, bro, like the build-up is important, you know. In off-season, I thought we had a successful off-season, right? And so now I think we're in a really good spot.
It won't be long until we start to get answers about what this looks like on the court. The Grizz open the preseason this Sunday against the Pacers, and we're just 23 days away from the regular season opener right here against the New Orleans Pelicans. At FedEx Forum, Matt Infield, Action News 5.
We're just days away from Election Day for the Memphis municipal election. This is for Memphis City Council members and, of course, the Memphis mayoral election. Let's bring in radio personality from WLOK Radio, Chip Washington, now to talk a little bit more about what we've seen so far and what we could anticipate for Thursday. Chip, always good to have you on the digital desk. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great, my friend. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you so much. So let's talk about the early voting numbers, because we know right now the early voting numbers are higher than they were 4 years ago and 8 years ago. What does that tell you, Chip?
Well, it tells me that people are finally starting to become engaged in this process. And it also tells me that people are starting to figure out that this perhaps is the most consequential election that we've seen in the last decades, at least 20 to 30 years, where we have a wide open race. While the last time you and I had a conversation, there was still about 25% of the voting population who had yet to decide. But it seems like with the early voting numbers, as you stated, over 40,000 people, that's a pretty good start to all of this. That's a pretty good indication that people are taking this seriously. And it bodes well for Election Day, hopefully.
Is there any candidate in your mind that benefits from a high voter turnout?
Well, that's a good question. I think that any of the top 3 to 4 candidates benefit from early voting. You know, we have 17, and of course that's going to split the vote in numerous ways. But I would think that anyone in the upper tier of candidates would be someone who would be very interested in getting out the vote and making sure that people, put the X by their name. You have Paul Young, of course, Sheriff Bonner, you have Van Turner, you have J.W. Gibson, and former Mayor Dr. Willie Harrington, who on my radio show, at least, my daily radio show, his name is evoked at least 2 or 3 times during the program, which I still find very interesting.
You know, I was listening to some people go back and forth on which candidates maybe have an edge, and there were 4 that came up. You mentioned a couple of them there. The 4 that came up were Bonner and Harrington pulling, this person was saying, pulling from kind of the same pool, and then Turner and Young pulling from another similar pool. Do you see it this way? And what about all the ads that we're watching? We have just been flooded during this early voting season with all the ads. What do you think?
Well, I don't know about whether Harrington and Bonner are pulling from the same group of people. But in terms of the ads, of course, I do radio these days. And of course, we have ads running from at least 6 of the candidates. And, when people start to talk about the negativity in terms of the ads, this is nothing new. This is politics, at its best and at its worst. A lot of people, though, are becoming more sophisticated in not necessarily focusing on all the negativity that the ads portray, but really the substance of the conversation that the candidates are having that are asking for your vote. I think people are becoming more and more turned off by the negative campaign ads. But, if you're a front runner in any political race, they're going to take shots at you. Other candidates are going to come at you and trying to convince other folks that, you're this, you're that, when that may not necessarily be the case, while trying to bolster their case. So dirty ads, dirty politics, misleading advertising is really all, unfortunately, a part of the political process.
You mentioned front runner, Chip, so I'll just go ahead and ask, who do you think is right now at the front runner? And if you don't want to answer that, what about Thursday night after polls close? How long is it going to be before we find out who is going to be the next mayor of Memphis? Do you think this will be a long night?
Well, to answer your first question, I don't have a problem. I mean, I think according to the polls, Paul Young and Floyd Bonner and maybe even former Mayor Harrington are the ones who are at the top in terms of this. And as far as Thursday is concerned, I think that a lot of that depends on the turnout. And I think that's going to be key critical in terms of how long a night it is. And we could be surprised. I think it could be a long night. You have, again, people need to understand that 17 candidates, while 10, 11, 12 of them may not necessarily be considered even viable in this election, they're still in it, and they still have support from friends and colleagues and other people. So there's going to be a splitting of the vote. And that is going to make this race more of a plurality than a majority. That is why it is so key critical, Andrew, that people get out on Thursday and vote. And that's why I say when I looked at the numbers that you mentioned at the top, 40,000 plus people early voted, which is more people that have voted the last 8 years, the last two mayoral elections. And that's a pretty interesting sign. So what happens on election night, if we get past the 25 or 30% of all registered voters, and we go higher than that, that's where it could get really interesting. And, perhaps we may not know who the new mayor is until late into the evening, but we'll have to wait and see how that plays out.
Certainly, it is, and these are numbers that we're seeing over 50,000. I mean, looking at Saturday, apparently early Saturday, all the early voting on Saturday, it was almost a record amount. So there's like in the mid 50s. But your station WLOK is predominantly African American and very historic in the Memphis area. Tell me from your perspective, and you're a talk show host there. What do your listeners say? Do they say who they're voting for, and what are they looking for in a mayor?
Well, in terms of what they're looking for someone who can fix the various problems that the city has. You and I talked about this before. Whomever gets the seat is going to have surmountable challenges when the new year gets here. From various different areas and different perspectives. My listeners don't necessarily talk about who they're voting for, although, as I badger them on a daily basis about all of this and the importance of voting, I am starting to hear more names coming up in terms of that. I think, like everyone else, crime is the number one issue. But there are so many other issues. I mean, there are infrastructure issues, there are economic issues, there are poverty issues. There are tremendous challenges of law enforcement, with these investigations happening, who's going to lead our law enforcement as we get into a new year, what are they going to do? And quite honestly, in terms of me listening, I hadn't heard anybody give anything, I don't know, particularly overwhelming as to how they're going to solve crime. One person can't do that. So there are a myriad of issues, but I will tell you this. I'm getting more and more phone calls that say, you know what, time out for the negative stuff. We don't need that. I mean, right now we're at a critical juncture in our city in so many particular areas that we need to focus in on the real issues and the real concerns that people have. And I think that people are becoming very turned off in terms of the negativity. But again, the early numbers that you mentioned, that to me shows a pretty good sign in terms that people are interested. Now, early voting is over. So now we have Thursday. I do expect to see long lines at many precincts in and around the city, which could be pretty interesting in terms of who comes out on top and just how long a night it will be.
Interesting is the understatement of the year, Chip. We will certainly be watching, and thanks so much for weighing in. I appreciate it. Radio personality from WLOK Radio, Chip Washington, joining us on the digital desk. We appreciate it as always, Chip. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate you.
locally owned coffee shop is expanding outside of Whitehaven's roots to Uptown. Taylor Tucker spoke to the manager of Mug & Coffee about why the shops are being created with one goal in mind, bringing people together in a 901.
Do you want a medium or a large? Do you want it hot or do you want it iced? Do you want it, do you want a lot of caffeine or a little caffeine? Sweet or not sweet? We do that, we make it real simple.
No matter how you like your cup of joe, making coffee accessible to everyone is a flavor in mind.
A lot of times when we go to different coffee shops, they have these fancy names and, you know, weird mixtures or whatever, but we don't. Anyone who doesn't know anything about coffee can come in and order from Muggin, and most of our employees actually have no coffee background.
For Mug & Coffee House, serving the Whitehaven community since 2020 has been all about bringing community back to the community.
Everywhere we go, we make it better. We're able to give jobs, we're able to give out scholarships, we're able to help everyone around us.
Now to Uptown they go. In addition to its Whitehaven location, the new Uptown location will serve its Zip and Pippin, Mug and Main, and more importantly, its sense of community.
We have good coffee. It's no gimmicks. We don't have to make a commercial. We don't have to have crazy artwork on our side of our buildings. It's a beautiful, beautiful location. It's a whole vibe.
That's why they say they are a star in the community, strategically placing their shops in your neighborhood, a vision they plan to grow.
From coffee to toffee, there's a sweet shop in Memphis that has a sweet mission, giving job experience and training to adults with special needs. This 5-star story about Bluff City Toffee by Kim Clark.
About the only thing better than the smell of warm toffee is eating it. And Bluff City Toffee, tucked away in the Sanderlin Club Plaza on Sanderlin Avenue, has some delicious options. Just ask Livy Aldrich, one of the trainees who weighs, bags, and gift wraps those options.
Yeah, I like working here because we put toffee in packets and popcorn and maybe cookies too.
So we have 3 different types of toffee. We have milk chocolate pecan toffee, we have dark chocolate pecan toffee with some sea salt on top, and white chocolate macadamia nut toffee. Then we have our butter toffee popcorn.
Rob Crone is a supervisor at Madonna Learning Center as well as production manager at Bluff City Toffee, training adults in that center's vocational program. Ethan Thomas has been with the Learning Center since 2011. He says he loves it and his job at Bluff City Toffee.
I like doing the popcorn.
Why do you like doing the popcorn?
Because it smells good.
Bluff City Toffee is not the only job opportunity available to the trainees at Madonna Learning Center.
And so that is a full-on job training program from 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Half the day they're at different job sites, and then the afternoon they're at more job sites, and it's different every day. That's one way we kind of get our foot in the door and show companies that it's okay to hire our community. They'll be probably your best employees, they'll be on time, they'll work hard, and they will not stop until the job is done.
Crone points out the program is also a great opportunity for the adult trainees to work in an encouraging environment with their friends. In addition to her work at Bluff City Toffee, Katie Olson also works part-time at St. Agnes Academy.
And I'm a pre-K teaching assistant. I'm working with 4-year-old kids, and the kids will come to me and tell me, it's Miss Katie.
Madonna Learning Center bought Bluff City Toffee late last year. Since then, business has boomed.
Around 4,000% increase from sales last year to this year, and it is not slowing down.
Crone says online sales are huge with custom orders, corporate gifts, and weddings, but he hopes to get more foot traffic into the store as well. Either way, you can munch on the sweetness coming out of this shop, knowing the people who made the confections did it with love.
This main part of being with your coworkers and getting part of the team.
We're working hard.
I feel so good at working here, and I have my friends.
Bluff City Toffee, another sweet success that makes us proud to call Memphis home. In East Memphis, Kim Clark, Action News 5.
Thanks for joining us here on ActionNews5.com, as well as the Action News 5 digital properties, and also on Action News 5 digital channel 5.5. Of course, the weather looking pretty nice for us here today. Temperatures topping out in the lower 90s. Mostly sunny skies will give way to a few more clouds by the afternoon hours. Overall, a pretty quiet way to get through your Tuesday across the area, with temperatures again upper 80s and lower 90s. Clouds will gradually increase tonight ahead of our next weather maker. We won't see very much in the way of rain, but it will come to the back doorstep basically for Wednesday afternoon in eastern Arkansas. We'll get temperatures to the middle and upper 80s for your Wednesday, and then the rain chances will start to increase as we head into your Thursday. Of course, that will be election day, so some opportunities for rain look to be in play for your election day outings across the Mid-South. Don't let that deter you. Get out there and just bring an umbrella if you've got to go out to the polls on Thursday. Lunchtime, see the rain beginning to build off towards the east as the first front of two fronts makes its way through the region. The second front on its way, that will drop in here as we head into your Friday into Saturday. As of the early morning hours of Tuesday, we've got the Mississippi River levels coming up a little bit actually, but not for very much longer. This is actually the byproduct of some rain that we got last week over in northern portions of the Mississippi River Valley, the mid-Mississippi Valley, and through the Ohio River Valley. That's now starting to come downstream. Moving forward, though, it does look like there will be a downward trend yet again, and likely getting down closer to that record low level at some point in time as we head towards next week yet again. But we do at least get some localized rain opportunities. It's not out of the realm of possibility as we head towards the mid-portion of the week. You saw there with the Futurecast model. And behind that system, cooler air is going to be dropping southward direct from Canada. The Canadian Express dropping southward for the weekend, and that means our temperatures going from 10 degrees above average today to about 10 to 15 degrees below average by the time we head towards the upcoming weekend. Upon the 7-day forecast, 91 the forecast high. We will go to the middle and upper 80s for your Wednesday as clouds begin to thicken up. Chance for a couple of showers primarily over into eastern Arkansas, and that will spread eastward as we head towards your election day Thursday for the municipal elections here in Memphis. Working our way back to the 70s for highs both Thursday and Friday. Now, Friday will be a day where we'll be in a transition phase as we'll be in between systems. We'll be back and forth between clouds and sun. A rogue shower chance on the front side of the day. The second front drops in here Friday night. We'll go from lows in the 60s to lows in the 50s to lows in the 40s when you wake up early on Sunday morning heading out to church services. Will be a cool day, a brisk day on Saturday, especially. I think we'll have winds northerly about 10 to 20 miles per hour, so you're definitely going to notice the cooler air filtering into the Mid-South. Temperatures will be in the 60s for highs in some of the cooler pockets north of town and low 70s elsewhere, and we'll eventually rebound back through the middle 70s by early next week. And eventually, it looks like our numbers do recover towards the upper 70s and lower 80s through the extended forecast that you can find on the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. You can download it in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store.
Now I want to talk a little bit. These are pictures from the St. Francis Hospital location in Bartlett. There is something new there. It's called the clothing closet. And these are for various options for patients, perhaps homeless patients who don't have clothes to be discharged in. Those are perhaps had accidents or may have had clothing that they can't wear anymore. And so this allows them to have some clothing to wear as they are discharged. Let's talk a little bit more about this idea of having this closet for patients there. I'm joined now by Chris Jenkins. He's Chief Operating Officer at St. Francis Bartlett. He's joining us to talk a little bit more about this closet. Tell me about the idea, Chris. Good morning to you. Tell me about the idea behind this, and tell me how the closet's looking these days. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Andrew. So the clothing closet really came about in that we're talking to some of our staff, specifically in the emergency department, who had basically a little box, and it had clothes in it for patients who came in either with trauma, we had to cut their clothes off, or maybe they were coming in off the street and they didn't have anything that we could send them home in that was appropriate. So we took that, and the paramedic Michael Dickerson and I worked to create a clothing pantry up on one of our floors. And you'll actually see my daughter sorting the clothes there. She helped me throughout the summer and continues to help even through the school year. But we wanted to give people an opportunity to be discharged with dignity. And sometimes a clean shirt, clean pair of pants, shoes makes all the difference when they're going home, especially to those that may not have a place of their own. We don't want anyone to leave this hospital with anything other than a great experience, and also just we want to take care of them as a whole, not just treat the injury or whatever they're coming in with, but also treat them as a person, and that's really important to us.
It sounds like an amazing idea, and I would think most hospitals should have this kind of closet out there, because you think about it, not only, okay, you do have an element that's homeless, but then there's someone that gets in a car crash, and as you mentioned, their clothing has to get cut off, or there's a bunch of blood, or who knows what, and they need a new set of clothing. And here's this opportunity with this closet, with a great setup. And looking at this video here, your daughter's sifting through some of the clothing. It looks fantastic. I mean, is this just with St. Francis Bartlett? Is it an idea that's catching on? What do you know?
Right. So right now, I know it's at St. Francis Hospital Bartlett, and then our other location at Park, we're trying to help them get set up as well. So look forward to that. And really, we would hope that every hospital, not just the ones that are in Bartlett, in Shelby County, but really across the state and across the nation, are this will be something that they explore putting in, because it's a great service. Think about how many employees a hospital typically has, and kids outgrow clothing, we outgrow clothing, so we want to give them an option to obviously donating to the Goodwill and Salvation Army is important, but also these donations are going directly into your community that you serve. So we've probably done 20 donations to patients as they're being discharged, and I would say the last 3 months alone. So, we're constantly replenishing it, constantly doing touch-ups to the rooms, adding in new shelves, clothing racks, whatever we can, because we want to take care of the donations, but also we want to make sure that it's readily accessible to anyone that needs us.
Where can people donate? Because I know that we have thousands of people watching us here on the digital desk each and every morning. Right. I know people are going to want to figure out a way to get clothes to you guys.
Absolutely. So we have a fantastic auxiliary and volunteer services here. They handle all the donations. I believe we're gonna have that link or information for them so that they can get it to them. But the hospital takes them, and we make sure that they're clean and good shape, and then we start the process of getting them arranged and sorting them by sizes. And then when they need it, either our nursing leaders or people in the emergency department, or even a physician will say, this patient's going to need some little bit of extra before they can be discharged, and that's where we step in and take care of them.
So do people just come into the hospital and drop off the clothes? How does the donation process work?
Yeah, so absolutely. We'll have Carolyn Borden's information up, and they can reach out to her and arrange a time, so that we can make sure we take it in and get it taken care of, cleaned, all that good stuff.
Okay, and if someone wants to donate, they're watching this right now, do they call St. Francis? Do they go online? How does it all work?
They can send an email. We'll have that email address up, or they can give us a call. We'll also have that phone number, and we will work with them so that we can make sure that someone's there to receive those goods.
Okay. Anything else you want to mention, Chris, before we let you go? I mean, this is so nice of everybody, and it just shows the generosity of the Mid-South to help others and to give in time of need.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't be prouder of the staff and even my daughter for obviously giving up some of her summer to help. But, hope the other hospital systems that are watching that this catches on. And, we're here to partner and help as well, because this really is just a fantastic service that really goes to show, what a hospital is part of a community and what we can do to help.
Chris Jenkins, Chief Operating Officer for St. Francis Bartlett. We really appreciate you joining us on the digital desk, telling us about the closet. Appreciate all your hard work, and thanks so very much.
Thank you, Andrew.
As you know, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I am joined now by Jennifer Davidson. She's the Radiology Director with Methodist North Hospital. Jennifer, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
I appreciate you being here. So tell us about Community Mammogram Day.
Oh, that's right. October, we're going pink. Starting next week, the outside lights of Methodist University will illuminate pink. We're excited about that. Our Methodist employees will wear pink throughout the month. We hope that our patients, families, and visitors will also remember to wear pink. But it's more than just wearing pink. It's also about screening. Screening can save lives. So we're excited to host our Community Mammo Day next week. It's Wednesday, October the 4th, and appointments are still available. We're scheduling appointments for screening mammograms beginning bright and early at 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. And we recommend appointments, but walk-ins are definitely welcome. Women should expect for their appointment to last about 30 minutes, and you can call 901-516-9000 and be scheduled for North Community Mammogram Day. We'll have refreshments in a relaxing atmosphere, plus a special appearance from Penny the Pink Chair.
So let me ask you this, Jennifer. You guys do this every year, right? I mean, how do those days go? I mean, is it getting people in that need mammograms? Is it people that just go every year? Tell me about those days specifically.
We enjoy this day a lot. Today we are actually doing all of our associates here at Methodist North, and we try to do these community days just to service the community, to get out there, let them know that this is very important, that screening saves lives, and we just try to reach as many people as we can for this special day. So it's a fun time. Penny the Pink Chair will be there, so it's a fun event.
Yeah, no, that pink chair I've been in before. It's massive. It's huge. I love sitting in it myself. So tell me, is the American Cancer Society, every year I kind of do my pink tie campaign. I wear ties from the community as well, just to bring awareness. They have breast cancer research that's happening right now in Tennessee. Is that right?
Correct. They are very important for us because they do a bunch of research. They also support us in many different ways, especially like by the chair. They're letting us borrow that chair for Wednesday. It's a great opportunity to come out and get your picture taken in that chair with 15 or 20 of your very best friends. And we'd love for you to post that on social media just to get awareness around town.
Okay, so this is Wednesday, October 4th, Community Mammogram Day at Methodist North Hospital. Is there other events at the different other hospitals, Methodist University, Germantown, down in Mississippi?
We don't have any of those events going on, such as this right now, but we do take walk-ins and appointments at all of those locations. We have 5 locations around Memphis: Methodist North, Methodist South, Germantown Breast Center, Midtown Breast Center, and also our South Haven Diagnostic Center. So many of these locations allow for walk-ins, although appointments are recommended.
Okay, so for the October 4th event on Wednesday, should people make appointments? Do they have to, or is it, you can make an appointment or you can just show up?
Right. Either way is great. We prefer an appointment so that we know that you're coming and we can space people out a little bit so you're not waiting as long. But usually within 30 minutes or less, you're in and out the door.
Perfect. Okay. Now, if someone wanted to, just kind of learn more about this event, is there a place online where they can see it and perhaps register as well?
Correct. You can call 901-516-9000 for an appointment. If you want to ask any other questions, you can call and talk to one of our mammogram techs here at Methodist North. That's 901-516-5064. We're also going to be walking in the American Cancer Society Making Strides Against Breast Cancer on October the 15th at Tom Lee Park. All of this that we've talked about today and the walk, you can visit methodisthealth.org/breast-cancer for more information.
All right, Jennifer Davidson, Radiology Director for Methodist North Hospital. We really appreciate you joining us on the Action News 5 digital desk. Have a great weekend. Good luck with this event coming up on Wednesday. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us here on ActionNews5.com, as well as the Action News 5 digital properties, and also on Action News 5 digital channel 5.5. Of course, the weather looking pretty nice for us here today. Temperatures topping out in the lower 90s. Mostly sunny skies will give way to a few more clouds by the afternoon hours. Overall, a pretty quiet way to get through your Tuesday across the area with temperatures again upper 80s and lower 90s. Clouds will gradually increase tonight ahead of our next weather maker. We won't see very much in the way of rain, but it will come to the back doorstep basically for Wednesday afternoon in eastern Arkansas. We'll get temperatures to the middle and upper 80s for your Wednesday, and then the rain chances will start to increase as we head into your Thursday. Of course, that will be Election Day, so some opportunities for rain look to be in play for your Election Day outings across the Mid-South. Don't let that deter you. Get out there and just bring an umbrella if you've got to go out to the polls on Thursday. Lunchtime, see the rain beginning to build off towards the east as the first front of 2 fronts makes its way through the region. The second front on its way, that will drop in here as we head into your Friday into Saturday. As of the early morning hours of Tuesday, we've got the Mississippi River levels coming up a little bit actually, but not for very much longer. This is actually the byproduct of some rain that we got last week over in northern portions of the Mississippi River Valley, the mid-Mississippi Valley, and through the Ohio River Valley. That's now starting to come downstream. Moving forward, though, it does look like there will be a downward trend yet again, and likely getting down closer to that record low level at some point in time as we head towards next week yet again. But we do at least get some localized rain opportunities. It's not out of the realm of possibility as we head towards the mid-portion of the week. You saw there with the Futurecast model. And behind that system, cooler air is going to be dropping southward direct from Canada. The Canadian Express dropping southward for the weekend, and that means our temperatures going from 10 degrees above average today to about 10 to 15 degrees below average by the time we head towards the upcoming weekend. Upon the 7-day forecast, 91 the forecast high. We will go to the middle and upper 80s for your Wednesday as clouds begin to thicken up. Chance for a couple of showers primarily over into eastern Arkansas. That will spread eastward as we head towards your election day Thursday for the municipal elections here in Memphis. Working our way back to the 70s for highs both Thursday and Friday. Now, Friday will be a day where we'll be in a transition phase as we'll be in between systems. We'll be back and forth between clouds and sun. A rogue shower chance on the front side of the day. The second front drops in here Friday night. We'll go from lows in the 60s to lows in the 50s to lows in the 40s when you wake up early on Sunday morning heading off to church services. Will be a cool day, a brisk day on Saturday, especially. I think we'll have winds northerly about 10 to 20 miles per hour. So you're definitely going to notice the cooler air filtering into the Mid-South. Temperatures will be in the 60s for highs in some of the cooler pockets north of town and low 70s elsewhere, and we'll eventually rebound back through the middle 70s by early next week. And eventually, it looks like our numbers do recover towards the upper 70s and lower 80s through the extended forecast that you can find on the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. You can download it in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store.
This week is Black Restaurant Week. We're talking about Black-owned restaurants here with Fallon Farrell. She's joining us now on the Action News 5 digital desk, and this has been going on for years. It's always a success. Tell us about this year, Fallon. Good morning.
Good morning. We are super excited this year. We have a little over 30 restaurants participating around the Memphis metro area, and we literally still have restaurants signing up daily. So that's the beautiful thing about this campaign. There is something from everyone to enjoy, everything from desserts to vegan food to barbecue. It really just shows the diversity that Memphis is bringing to the food scene.
No question about it. I can remember last year, and I enjoyed it. I was downtown, went to an establishment there, and had a fantastic meal. But these aren't just for downtown restaurants. This is scattered throughout the city, right?
Correct. So we're scattered all throughout the city. There's even a couple of restaurants in some of the surrounding areas that are participating as well. So that's also the beauty of the campaign. You have some businesses that are pretty much virtual, selling their goods through like Grubhub and some of those other delivery platforms. But that's the beauty of the website. You could kind of research and see everything that the restaurants are offering, the specials, how to purchase them, what type of establishment it is. And it's really built to be a resource even after the campaign leaves. We understand that it's hard to hit up 30 restaurants in 1 week. So this way, you could continue to use the platform as a resource throughout the year, especially as we gear for the holiday season with gift cards and holiday entertaining.
There's probably going to be a couple people out there that are going to try to hit all 30, I'm sure. But so, yeah, I was going to say, we have thousands of people that watch us each and every morning here on the digital desk. Where can they go to get the list, maybe check out the menu, maybe put in a reservation?
Yeah, so definitely check out our website, blackrestaurantweeks.com with an S. And if you click on the Southeast Black Restaurant Week, it'll showcase all the restaurants that are participating throughout the campaign. It'll highlight the different specials that they're offering. And you can also follow us on social media, Black Restaurant Week as well.
Yeah, and this is for any palate out there. I mean, there really is a diverse group of food here, right?
Correct. I mean, everything from Curry and Jerk, which does Caribbean food, to, as I mentioned, we have a couple of vegan restaurants participating. We have a barbecue restaurant. Of course, it's wings, so we have Debo's. And I mean, there's really something for everyone. And I think that's the beauty of the platform. Just because it's Black owned doesn't mean that it's not bringing diversity to the food scene.
Certainly. Okay. All right. Well, listen, Fallon Farrell, we really appreciate your time this morning. Thanks so much for joining us on the digital desk, and good luck this week.
Thank you. I enjoy. Thank you for having me.
All right, 10:55 is the time. We're taking a live look from our High Five camera. Midtown Memphis, you can see the skyline of downtown there off in the distance. 80 degrees already as we give you a farewell on this Tuesday morning. We got Action News 5 midday coming up at the top of the hour. Ariana Poindexter and Spencer Denton will give you all the news and weather for you to get through the hour. And then you can join us once again tomorrow for another edition of the Digital Desk. It is cranking up at 7 o'clock. We hope you join us then. See you later.